momentous occasion. This opportunity for all those present and those able to follow the proceedings via mass media and the social media to develop a keen understanding of the policy, programs, and initiatives of the Dominica Labour Party, which continue to touch the lives of Dominicans throughout the Roseau South and across our motherland. Moreover, it is an opportunity for you, the residents of the Roseau South, to ask pertinent questions as it relates to our development in the Roseau South constituency. And so, in welcoming you, I think this is an event that will leave us all with a positive outcome, with an increased understanding, and a positive outlook for the development in the Roseau South. So once again, I welcome you to the Roseau South, the third largest constituency in the Commonwealth of Dominica. I welcome you to the Roseau South, a constituency with one of the largest populations and the most widest variation in terms of our socio-economic backgrounds. I welcome you to the Roseau South, where we were severely impacted by Tropical Storm Erica. And I really want to thank all of those who are here in our midst who volunteered after the passage of Tropical Storm Erica and say that we need to give you a round of applause for your voluntary effort during that time. We were devastated after Tropical Storm Erica. Our road network was in shambles. Many of our housing developments were under pressure. Some individuals even lost their very shelter. But the Dominica Labour Party administration, under the leadership of the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, was there with us every step of the way to ride us through that storm, take us through that storm, and take us now into a period where we see life is returning to normal. And it didn't just happen like that, by a snap of a finger. How many of us remember the damage to the roads in Girodale and Egliston after Tropical Storm Erica? In Kings Hill and in Lower Castle Comfort. Our Prime Minister allocated some $1.6 million, $1.6 million towards rehabilitation works to take place in the constituency to bring us back to a greater level of normalcy, bring us as close back to what we had before Tropical Storm Erica as was possible. And we saw road edge reinstatement in Castle Comfort, we saw road edge reinstatement in Girodale and Egliston, and also in Kings Hill we saw the introduction of several retaining walls. So, since the passage of Tropical Storm Erica, we have been seeing in a very big way, in a very tangible way, that this Dominica Labour Party administration is committed and concerned about the livelihoods of the people in the Roseau South constituency. And we are very proud of that, and we want to say to our government, we thank you for that support and your presence here in the Roseau South. Ladies and gentlemen, with so many concerns, challenges, and opportunities within the Roseau South, it requires a focused approach. It requires a focused approach to claim to be addressing any of the issues affecting our residents. And so that is why I'm so thankful that we are blessed with a Dominica Labour Party government that has exactly the comprehensive policy and programmatic framework that we need to treat with our many concerns and challenges. Let's consider, for example, in the 21st century, where not even a young child going to primary school would feel comfortable without a cellular phone. What would we feel like as an adult to be living in a home without the convenience of a washroom facility, brothers and sisters? And so I am very proud of our Dominica Labour Party administration for pushing the sanitation program and for making sure that the sanitation program can touch the lives of the people of the Roseau South constituency, brothers and sisters. Because there are many of us who are still in need of such facilities within our homes. Or if not in our homes, we are aware of a neighbor or a relative that is in need of such a facility. But thus far, we have seen that the Prime Minister is committed to keeping his promise to eradicate pit latrines in Dominica and in the Roseau South by the end of 2017. Because as we speak, funds are being spent to provide some 42 washrooms for families in the community of Kings Hill, brothers and sisters, to ensure that they have an increased and improved, rather, quality of life. As we speak, brothers and sisters, over 20 washrooms are being constructed in the communities of Girodale and Egliston to ensure that the families that are in need from those communities will have a better quality of life. They will have the convenience at night instead of going out and having to use the pit latrines. So we are very thankful and grateful to see the sanitation program is touching the lives of citizens in the Roseau South. But those of you from communities that I have not mentioned as yet, I want to say to you, keep the faith and hold strong. Because as we speak, work has been going on in your communities, and here I'm speaking of communities such as Loubier, communities such as Newtown, Fortney, and Citronet, to do the necessary assessment, to identify the individuals with those needs. And we are taking time to make sure that we don't overlook any individual case. That is to say, the opportunity is still open. If you know anyone who has such a need, please inform us so that we can ensure when we provide the Prime Minister with the list of people who are in need of a washroom facility from Newtown, from Loubier, from Bath Estate and other environments, and other communities rather, that we can have a comprehensive list. And so we can know at the end of 2017, no one in the Roseau South will have a pit latrine anymore, brothers and sisters. With such a large constituency and such a large population, education is critical. Education is critical for us in the Roseau South, so that we can empower ourselves to rise up out of poverty which still exists in many pockets within our constituency. And so I want to say to you that this Dominica Labour Party government is the only government that has demonstrated such a profound commitment to the education of each and every citizen in this country. And we see it through their actions, brothers and sisters. We see it through the establishment of the new Newtown Primary School, our venue for this evening's meeting. In fact, some of us may be aware that this school was promised to our Honorable Prime Minister to be placed in his constituency. But again, he showed that level of selflessness that we expect of a leader. And he saw the need, the urgent need for the improvement to the school in Newtown. And 2 years later, we have a brand new Newtown Primary School right here in the community of Newtown in the Roseau South Constituency. So we thank the Prime Minister for that sacrifice, and we want to say to him that we'll continue to do our best, picking up where Miss Williams left off, to make sure that our students from Newtown and environs continue to excel and be the best in terms of our human resource product in the Commonwealth of Dominica. But beyond that, brothers and sisters, we know that this Labour Party administration is focused on education, not just at the later stages, not just at the primary stage or the tertiary stage, but this government has invested heavily in early childhood education. Just consider our surroundings, the number of preschools that are located in Newtown. To my left, we have the Ginger Preschool. To my front, we have the Charlotte's Preschool, nursery school. We have another school lower down the road, leading up from the Newtown Savannah. We have to focus a lot of our attention on education in the Roseau South. And I want to thank the Honorable Peter Seja for being a true friend and champion of the Roseau South. Because he always ensures that whatever the Ministry of Education is making available to students in this country, the Roseau South will have its fair share. And here I'm speaking of uniforms. We know we are at the end of a school year. And one of the things that every student looks forward to once it is possible in September, not necessarily going back to school, but to put on that brand new uniform, that new school shirt, that new school shoe, and go to school with a sense of pride. And I want to, on behalf of the parents that have received in the past, and those that will receive this year, Honorable Seja, thank you and your ministry for your support to the parents in making sure their students can go to school feeling proud. Beyond that, brothers and sisters, we know that the Education Trust Fund continues to play a major role in helping the less fortunate to obtain an education. And as we speak, many parents are approaching the Ministry of Education for the school transfer grant, for transportation assistance, and other forms of assistance. And I can assure you that with the Honorable Peter Seja as our Minister of Education, we will get our fair share of this assistance in the Roseau South. I encourage you to go to the Science and Technology building, obtain the requisite forms, and let's assist our people the best we can. Brothers and sisters, this Labour Party has made the policy pronouncement that there will be a university graduate in every household in the Commonwealth of Dominica. And rather than just speaking it, this Labour Party administration has been working hard towards achieving it, providing scholarships at the tertiary level for students across the Roseau South. In fact, in the past 2 years, I can inform you that scholarships have been awarded to students from the Roseau South to pursue studies in the People's Republic of China and also more recently in Cuba. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to inform you that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are new opportunities in India. There are new opportunities in Morocco. And ladies and gentlemen, at this time, let us acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and Mrs. Skerrit joining us here this evening. Let's give them a big Roseau South welcome. Let's make some noise for our PM. Let's make him know we cherish him here in the Roseau South. Roseau South, are you happy to see a PM here tonight? And we are even more blessed because we have the lovely Mrs. Skerrit with us. Let's put our hands together for brothers and sisters. Let's just give it a second to sink in. I know the star power of our PM is really magnificent. But back to education, because it's under the leadership of our Prime Minister that we have seen a larger population of Dominicans able to obtain education at the tertiary level. Before the establishment of the State College, less than 10% of high school graduates would go to tertiary level institutions in the Commonwealth of Dominica. But as we speak, the Dominica State College can accommodate every single high school graduate once they meet the minimum requirements for entry, brothers and sisters. And this is a significant achievement under the leadership of the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, brothers and sisters. As we know, the Roseau South is known for its exemplary and legendary sportsmen. And so sports is, and women, thank you there, so I know that netball is very dear to your heart. And so, of course, our women cannot be left out. But sportsmen and women have been excelling in the Roseau South. And so sports is also of critical importance to us in the Roseau South constituency. I can inform us here tonight that we have conducted an assessment of all of our playing fields within the Roseau South constituency. That will include the Kings Hill playing field, the Newtown Savannah, the Loubier playing field, the Girondale playing field, Egliston playing field, Injury Park, and all other playing fields. With a view to identify Baffested playing field as well. With a view to identify the needed upgrades on the respective playing fields. And this, we are pursuing the respective improvements in consultation with the Ministry of Youth and Constituency Empowerment, with a view to treat with the different needs as much as is possible. And at this stage, I can inform you that those of us from Loubier who have been waiting now for quite some time will have to wait no longer, because the Ministry of Youth and Sports has provided the final amount of resources we needed to install the playing field lights in the community of Loubier. So the footballers, the cricketers, and the sportsmen and women of Loubier can look forward to playing sports on a well-lit field in the coming weeks, ladies and gentlemen. The contract has already been signed and the contractor has already begun his work. It would be remiss of me here if in saying that I didn't also acknowledge the significant contribution from the Dominica Lotteries Commission towards helping us procure the much needed lights. So the Lotteries Commission helped us to procure the lights, and the Ministry of Youth is now helping us to install them. Besides that, I can inform our people of Egliston, who I see here with us in solidarity, that your playing field, I know it was significantly affected after Tropical Storm Erica. But just 2 weeks ago, myself, along with your chairman, Mr. Ashworth Williams, and the chairman of the Pavilion Improvement Committee, we made a visit to that playing field, and we did an assessment in terms of how much it would cost to grade the playing field and also to grass the playing field. So we'll be treating with this as soon as it's possible, providing the estimates that we have compiled to the Ministry of Sports. And we'll be undertaking similar works for every other playing field. Because academics is important, but unless we have a balance where sports is involved, we cannot have that healthy lifestyle we need to be healthy. And we all know health is wealth. Now, employment is a challenge the world over. And with such a large population, you will expect that there are many persons seeking employment in the Roseau South constituency. We can all take hope and take that sense of opportunity thanks to the vision of our Prime Minister in establishing the National Employment Program back in 2013, ladies and gentlemen. This is a program that touches lives across Dominica. The Roseau South is no exception. In 2014, we had a cadre of some 50 young people engaged under the NEP from the Roseau South. But at the start of this year, we saw that number increase with the addition of 15 individuals to undertake beautification in the community of Girardel. And I really want to commend the members of the beautification team in Girardel Egliston for doing such a lovely job. We know that Girardel Egliston is the flower basket of the constituency, but it also needs to be maintained. We need to see that beauty, and I thank them for the work they are doing. Besides that, brothers and sisters, we saw a cadre of some 15 young people get employed under the NEP in the private sector and in the public sector. We say we always look out for our youth, but we need to give them the opportunity to succeed, and to excel. And so I was very happy to see that 6 youth out of that second group of 15 are now working at the Youth Development Division, developing skills as youth officers that they can then pass on and bring to bear in communities across the country. Brothers and sisters, in respect to the NEP, I am very pleased to inform you that by the end of this month, an additional 50 young people from the Roseau South constituency will be engaged through the NEP. That will bring our number well in excess of 100. So it says to us that we in the Roseau South are no exception when it comes to the policies of the Dominica Labour Party. It's up to us to look out for our people, to identify those that want the opportunities and to make sure they receive it and they benefit from programs such as the National Employment Program. So I want to thank the Minister of Employment here this evening, and I think we should give him a round of applause for the support that the NEP is giving us here in the Roseau South. But just a note of caution as we move on from the NEP. The NEP is a good opportunity for every Dominican to develop experience and to gain income. But the government can help you insofar as getting the opportunity. It's up to you, brothers and sisters, to keep that opportunity. And so I want to say to those of you who are presently engaged under the NEP, keep putting your best foot forward. And to those of you in the group of 50 that will be engaged this month, put your best foot forward and earn that job so that it will even take you further than you had ever expected. Now, many of us have had to travel long distances to make it here this evening. And depending on which hamlet in the Roseau South you came from, the ride may have been more bumpy than others. I know in particular our friends from Girardel and Egliston and my community of Kingshill, the challenge is very, very acute. I want to say to you that your government, your cabinet, and our leader are very much aware of the needs of the Roseau South with respect to roads, okay? And they are taking them very seriously. Permit me just to inform you of what is taking place behind the scenes that some of us may not be aware of. As part of our government's Community Road Enhancement Program, we have completed estimates for many of the secondary roads throughout the constituency. No community has been left out. And we have submitted to the Office of the Prime Minister a dossier including estimates for the respective roads totaling to over $4.1 million. So that gives you an idea as to the amount of work we are doing on the ground in terms of being ready whenever resources are available to treat with the road situation in Roseau South. In Kingshill, I know that the main roads are concerned. I can inform you that we have completed estimates for every major road in Kingshill. Monbruce, Center Street, Back Street, and as you will be aware, we also completed Melville Batway recently with help from the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So roads is very much in focus in the Roseau South. Our people of Emsall, we know that you suffer a lot of hardship, especially since the passage of Tropical Storm Erica. The dead-end bridge, which was your alternative entry point to your community, was washed away by the storm. Okay? And so it left you with only one access and exit point to your community. And here we're speaking of the road from the University of the West Indies. But as we speak, I can inform you that contracts have been signed for the construction of the road, the completion of the road from the University of the West Indies all the way leading into the community. And so the people of Emsall will see significant improvement to their roads very soon. Also, due to the fact that the dead-end bridge was installed, during any heavy rains, there would be a lot of debris building up and leading the water into the community of Bath Estate. Thankfully, the Ministry of Public Works has responded to a request from residents in that area, and they have since removed the bridge. So presently, if any heavy rains were to fall, the water would run along its natural course and would not fall into the dead-end area, resulting in the damage that we saw in the dead-end area and the Paradise Valley area in Bath Estate. So this is a government that is responding to the needs in a very progressive manner and in a comprehensive manner, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on from roads to focus on small business development, because I mentioned employment and the NEP, but we know that there is no government in this earth that can employ all of its citizens. Okay? Furthermore, the International Labour Organization tells us it's 3 times more difficult for young people to obtain jobs than it is for adults. So we need to pay special attention to small business development in the Roseau South. Just look at the number of businesses we have from the Newtown Savannah to the Castle Comfort gas station. Many businesses. We have retail shops, we have bars, we have seamstresses at work, we have fishermen. There are a number of SMEs right here within the Newtown, Fortney, and Citronia area, and indeed throughout the Roseau South constituency. But I want to say to you that this government is committed to empowering our small business owners. And as we can see through the recent activity and announcements of our Prime Minister, he is making sure that the resources can touch the lives of all of our entrepreneurs in the Roseau South. Whether you are from Bath Estate, where we can see the emergence of several new businesses in Bath Estate, including the very popular car wash. I myself plan to visit there and patronize very soon. Also in communities such as Loubier, we see that a cadre of small entrepreneurs have benefited from assistance very recently. And I can say to you that last week Friday, I went to Mr. Jack's steam fish bar, and I had a very lovely steam fish. And you can see that this young man is putting the resources that the government has given him to very, very good use. And we must commend this, ladies and gentlemen. Because oftentimes we like to say that the government is just throwing money at the problem, but that is not true. This government is making sure in a systematic way, in an organized way, that we can assist our entrepreneurs and follow through with them to make sure that they put the resources to good use. Right here in the community of Newtown at this very school, several weeks ago, the Prime Minister gave an unprecedented commitment of $500,000 to the entrepreneurs of the community of Newtown, brothers and sisters. This demonstrates that the Prime Minister has the Roseau South very much at heart, because nobody asked him to come here. Nobody asked him to make that pronouncement, but he did it because he's aware of the need and able to respond to them, brothers and sisters. So I want to say to every young person now, and even those of us who are in our senior years, but think that we can still contribute to the economy through the establishment of a business, I challenge you to obtain the small business form, fill it out, and send it in to the Ministry of Commerce. Let us create jobs for ourselves. Let us create livelihoods for ourselves. Let us create livelihoods for our brothers and sisters who we can employ at our businesses, brothers and sisters. This government is a government that cares, not just for the young, because you might realize that many of the programs I spoke to previously focus on the young people. But our Prime Minister also cares very much about the old and those senior citizens who have given years of sacrifice to this country. And that is why he introduced the non-contributory pension assistance program or policy, brothers and sisters, to make sure that every citizen over the age of 70, whether or not you were able to pay Social Security during the time that you were employed, you are able to obtain a minimum benefit of $300 a month, brothers and sisters, to help to meet their daily needs. How many of us with elderly relatives can afford to give them that extra boost at the end of the month? How many of us can afford to give them that $50, that $20 they need to buy their medicine, brothers and sisters? This is where this assistance comes in so meaningfully. And I want to say that I can see it touching the lives of the elderly across this constituency. When I visit them, when I see them saying, please tell the Prime Minister thank you for that assistance. Is that I can use to buy my cylinder? Is that I can use to buy my medicine? Prime Minister, I want to say to you, thank you for the assistance that you are giving to the elderly in the Roseau South constituency. I said earlier that the work of the Labour Party comes from a spiritual origin. It doesn't take a government and shouldn't take a government to care after our loved ones, our mothers and our fathers. But unfortunately, some of us still neglect our mothers and fathers, our elderly relatives. But thanks to the vision of the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, in the Commonwealth of Dominica, I'm not sure if there's such a program anywhere else in the world, but in the Commonwealth of Dominica, we have the Yes We Care program. And it has been a solid affirmation to our elderly, those undergoing challenges, that yes, we do care about you and we'll reach out to you in every way we can. And in the Roseau South constituency, we have over 13 beneficiaries of the Yes We Care program. And I really want to thank the Ministry of Social Services for making sure that these individuals and their families benefit from the Yes We Care program, brothers and sisters. Leadership is everything. And our Prime Minister continues to demonstrate exemplary leadership. But he also challenges us as citizens to take up leadership roles at the local level. And so, we can all be aware in the Roseau South constituency, we have 3 major local authorities: the Roseau City Council, the Lubia Village Council, and the Girondale-Egliston Village Council. And in the past 2 years, the Dominica Labour Party administration has been empowering our local authorities to undertake development activities throughout this constituency. In 2016, the Prime Minister made some $80,000 available to the Girondale-Egliston Village Council, 60 of which were used to do road repairs, and 20,000 was used to host the annual Girondale-Egliston Flower Show. And I can say to you that the work on the ground was really positive in the areas such as Lillet, in Girondale, and in the Clark Road in Egliston, brothers and sisters, in the Paul Road in Egliston. Okay? Beyond that, just recently at the start of this year, we saw some over $500,000 placed at the Roseau City Council for washrooms to be installed in the community of Kings Hill. Brothers and sisters, we need to lead at the local level. We cannot expect it to only be up to our cabinet, only up to our elected officials to facilitate the development of this country. Let us answer that call to take up a leadership role at the PTA, at the community groups, okay? And let's make a difference on the ground in this constituency, brothers and sisters. One of the most far-reaching challenges in the Roseau South is housing. Throwing $1 million at the housing situation in Roseau South is like throwing a drop of water into the ocean behind us. And that's the sentiment you get when you go on the ground. But I want to say to you that this government is insistent on treating with your needs with respect to housing in a very clear and comprehensive manner. We want to transition away from the time of, I need a window, look the invoice. We want to do things properly. As you have heard our Prime Minister make the pronouncement, it makes no sense to give a man half a window to think that you're going to protect him from the wind. Don't make sense to give a man half a roof thinking you're going to protect him from the hurricanes. So we need to do the requisite assessments and find out the true extent of the problem and treat with those that we can in a systematic way. Those that we cannot deal with up front, we must inform the resident that, it will take a little time and see how best we can support them in the meantime. But to say to you that as we speak, there is a program for housing assessments taking place in the Roseau South constituency, such that any individual that is in need of housing assistance, we will direct staff from the Ministry of Housing. I want to thank the staff of the Ministry of Housing for really being on the ground throughout this constituency, doing the assessments in Egliston, in Kings Hill, in Newtown, and throughout the constituency. And once that assessment is done, then we will also have the preparation of some estimates for the repairs that need to be done. And based on that, we will treat with the emergency cases first, and then, based on the discretion of the Ministry of Housing, we will treat with as many cases as we can. Sadly, we will never be in a position to treat with all of the cases at one particular time. So I really want to ask for your indulgence and patience as we go about trying to improve the way we do things here in the Roseau South and indeed across the country. Now, I've been speaking to many concerns that are resonating at the constituency level, at the community level. But inevitably, as we go through life, there will be personal challenges that we endure. And at times we may be reaching out to our relatives, our neighbors, but they may not be in a position to help us at the time. Thankfully, our Prime Minister and the Cabinet have the compassion and the foresight to establish the Public Support Program, a program that has received a lot of criticisms, not constructive. But I want to place on record my full support and my full gratitude for this public support program introduced by the Dominican Labour Party administration. Because I cannot imagine what it would be like for some of our families if this program was not in place. When your relative is sick and in need of emergency attention, what can you say to them? Let me bring that by Ministry of Social Services. We'll follow up with you in 3 weeks. Hope they survive in the meantime. That's unacceptable. We must try to create avenues by which we can ensure we can deal with the concerns, the emergencies as they arise. So I want to thank the Cabinet and to thank the Prime Minister for continuing with the public support program, brothers and sisters. And in the Roseau South, we should say an additional thank you, because as we speak, the Prime Minister has ensured that in the decentralization of this program, the Roseau South was not overlooked, brothers and sisters. As we speak, just a few meters away from us is a satellite office of the Public Support Program, at which any of us, any citizen, not just from the Roseau South, but from Soufriere and neighboring constituencies, can come and in a confidential way, in a professional way, raise their issue to the government of Dominica and be in a position to benefit. And I can say to you that this office has been there for less than 2 months, and over 24 citizens of the Roseau South constituency have brought their concerns and seen their concerns dealt with at this office. So I want to thank the Prime Minister for bringing this office to the Roseau South. It is touching the lives of people in the Roseau South. Brothers and sisters, the task of building a nation does not rest with the government. And this Labour Party administration has tried to voice that sentiment, even from our manifesto, building a prosperous, peaceful and just society, and ensuring that we all understand the importance of nation building. How many of us were in attendance on one of the volunteer days in the botanical gardens during that project? How many of us either passed through in solidarity? A few of us are here. This was such a remarkable experience. And again, it demonstrates the leadership of our Prime Minister. Because the government will never have all the resources to deal with all of the development needs in the country. But sometimes, if we look even within our community, as we probably used to do more in the past, we have the assets, we have the human resource, we have the capability to facilitate development at the local level. And so if we can, we have no excuse for not doing that, brothers and sisters. And so what struck me the most about this project in the Botanical Gardens is that it is something that we can replicate in the communities across the Roseau South constituency. And so in closing, I want to say to you that all of which this government has done is simply a demonstration of its concern and commitment to you, the people of the Roseau South constituency. Yet still, it cannot do it alone. And so I want to encourage you all to recommit yourself to the process of nation building. Let's recommit ourselves to give of the little that we have to make the greater cause succeed. Brothers and sisters, Dominica and the Roseau South is us to develop. And I can say to you that I am committed to lending my services, my time, and my ideas, intellect learning together to see how we can build this constituency, how we can build this country together, brothers and sisters. And so on that note, I want to say to you, thanks for coming and give you a warm Roseau South welcome to this evening's town hall meeting. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, it gives me great honor to invite to address us none other than the man from the South, the Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darroux, Minister of Health and Environment, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Senator Benoit. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Let me first of all recognize my colleague ministers and of course my fellow parliamentarians, including our very own Isaiah Benoit. Let me also recognize in our presence a former Minister of Government and of course a Member of Parliament for many, many years, the Honorable Ambrose George, who served this constituency with much distinction, I think. And also Miss Sonia Williams, Auntie Sons, also a former cabinet minister. Let me just say it's a pleasure to be here in Newtown, and I mean it's really a pleasure to be here. When I look around, in fact, you would have seen me whispering to the Honorable Prime Minister on his arrival that whether the election date was announced, and I didn't know, because the last time you remember a setup like this was on the Bayfront PM when the last campaign was launched, if you remember. So I really want to thank the organizers, of course, for this really elaborate setting, and of course, thank you for inviting me, Isaiah, to speak tonight. And of course, this is the continuation of our town hall meetings, where for the past month or so, especially within this calendar year, the Dominica Labour Party administration would have been going around in every nook and cranny of the country, bringing positive vibes to the people. Because when we bring people together as Labour Party, we bring love to you. And not to gather stones, not to burn down buildings, not to destroy property. And even if this constituency is not one that is being held currently by the administration, as pointed out and so eloquently described by your very own caretaker, Senator Benoit, this constituency has not been left out in the last election in the nation's development. Honorable Prime Minister, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't write it down because you were not present when I made, and of course your lovely wife. My most humble apologies, sir. Yes, sir. So here we are bringing the message to you in the Roseau South constituency to update you, of course, on our plans and programs, and most importantly, of course, to hear from you. Because why do you think it's important that we come and update you, let you know what we've been doing, but we also think it's also even more important to hear from you, to hear your ideas, of course, your constructive criticism. Because we've always said that we, at the cabinet level and the government level, we cannot think of everything. And you'll be surprised at some of the bright ideas that would come from the audience and from you, the ordinary Joe Brown on the street. Of course, we are in a pre-budget period, and I want to borrow a phrase or an idea from the Honorable Reginald Austrie. In fact, I was tuned into the Next Level program on Saturday evening, and I heard the Honorable Austrie calling the program, and he said that that's the very first time in the history of Dominica that we have seen so much continue to happen in a pre-budget period. And I think this is noteworthy, Honorable Austrie, and while maybe much wasn't made of it, we still see so many things happening in this period. Road rehabilitation all around the country. Washroom program continues. Small business. The National Employment Program. And in fact, just 2 or 3 days ago, I witnessed the handing over of free boats, brand new fishing boats and engines to free fishermen in the Lubia community. And I want to thank the Honorable Isaiah Benoit for his service. Because even if he's not the elected member of Parliament, We think that his work in the constituency, the Roseau South Constituency, is commendable. And we need to really put our hands together for him. Because as a young man in politics, I know it's not easy. The pressures are many. This is a young man who would have gone out to educate himself, and he could have come back and settled down in an 8-to-4 job like most of us. Instead, he has chosen to make this great sacrifice to be a caretaker in a constituency as diverse and large and very difficult as the Roseau South constituency. So I say that to let you know that you should have a lot of patience with him. Help him, those of us who think we are more experienced on the political scene. Help him, talk to him. And I'm pretty sure that we will see him grow from strength to strength. And I think he has a proper start already. And if his presentation tonight is any indication of what this man is made of, we can look for Isaiah for many, many, many more years to come in the political scene. So I'm here tonight to speak very briefly. Honorable Isaiah, there's very little I can say after listening to the Honorable Senator. But just to give a brief account of my stewardship as the Minister of Health and Environment. Of course, after the 2014 general elections, yours truly was very humble to be given the reins, to be chosen to lead the health sector of Dominica. And I think it would be remiss of me if I don't spend a few minutes just to give a brief account of my stewardship thus far. Of course, we know that they always say that the health of a nation is the wealth of a nation. So it's a very important sector that yours truly was chosen to lead. And we can't speak about health without talking about the new national hospital. A $48 million project, a gift from our friends, the People's Republic of China. And I think we need to put our hands together for these people. Because in addition to so many things that they have done, and right to my immediate back is another indication, another visible and tangible sign of the friendship and the cooperation of the People's Republic of China to the Commonwealth of Dominica. And of course, this hospital, much has been said about it, even prior to the start of construction of this new hospital. We saw so many things, calypsos being composed on this new hospital, posts on Facebook about the old PMH. And Papa Body, I tell people, I mean, how can you be a bona fide Dominican and you go about the current Princess Margaret Hospital and take off pictures of the hospital and post on the backyard, the storeroom area, and post on social media for the world to see? We know that the PMH is in a very deplorable condition. This is why Papa Boji will be leading the hospital. So I'm hoping, and I'm really hoping that the very same people who were the ones posting the scenes of the old PMH right now, that they are right now posting on a weekly basis the progress that we are making, because progress is happening at the Goodwill site. And we want to thank our Chinese counterpart, the Chinese construction company, for the progress that they're making in the hospital. And we're hoping that come October of this year, that with the first phase of the hospital will be completed, and we'll have a brand new accident and emergency department, what we refer to as a casualty, and also a brand new radiology and lab, etc. section. So come October, we are going to turn the keys and commission the first phase of this hospital. And we have no doubt, especially the fact that a Chinese construction firm is the one engaged, that come at the end of the 30 months, as stipulated by the contract, that we will have a brand new hospital, complete and ready for use. So we continue with the project, and as I said, good progress. In addition to the new building, spanking new building, as my friend Ian D. from Portsmouth like to say, we also will have new equipment that we never ever had before in Dominica, an MRI. This is stuff that we would have had to go overseas to do prior to this administration and this new hospital. A high-frequency ultrasound to treat cancers, tumors, etc. We are also undergoing a very rigorous training exercise at the Ministry of Health. We have over a dozen of our sons and daughters being engaged, being specializing rather in new services, oncology, nephrology, you just name it. So in addition to the new building, new modern equipment, we're also going to have a cadre of well-trained specialists. So we're not saying that we will take care of all your health problems, but the need to travel overseas for medical attention should be less come the completion of this new hospital. But we are also saying that all of this would be quite almost useless if the everyday Dominican cannot access these facilities and these services. And we all know the tremendous cost of healthcare, especially in small island developing states like ours. In fact, all across the world, even more so sometimes in the so-called mature and first world countries, which is why your government, and because of the caring, and again, Senator Bean mentioned it, because of the nature of this government, you made, and we reach out to the marginalized and the less fortunate. And governments before, and not just in Dominica, in the region, and much more mature economies would have spoken of what we call national health insurance and universal health coverage, meaning that each and every individual, each and every citizen of any country would have the right to free health care. So while a lot have been spoken, lots of volumes, if you go to my office, there would be books and documents dating decades ago as it pertains to national health insurance. But it had to take this Roosevelt Skerrit-led administration to actually implement a national health insurance program in Dominica. And while we take this for granted, we heard a representative from PAHO recently speak to it and speak to how impressed he was that a small island developing state such as Dominica could undertake such an initiative. $5 million being put to capitalize this national health insurance program. $5 million. And we're talking about in a post-disaster period. And this is significant because while in a lot of other jurisdictions after a disaster, you will find government cutting down on spending, asking its citizens to make sacrifice. Here we are, this Labour Party administration, after Erica, where we had $1.4 billion worth of damage, lost almost 100% of our GDP. Here we are initiating new programs, and we see roads being built around the island like never before, washroom programs, support to small businesses like never before. And this is commendable. And of course, I'm sure the speakers after me will speak to the source of this funding, the much talk about CBI. And we have to thank God for the CBI program. We have to thank God for it. Because after Tropical America, when we would have come to our citizens who had to make sacrifices, to take pay cuts, etc., we haven't done that. Instead, we have seen a flurry of activity, which is why I think the point made by Reginald Osher on the Saturday night program is very commendable. That's the very first time in Dominican history we see so much happening, especially in a pre-budget period. But this is the Dominican Labour Party, led by a very dynamic and visionary leader, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. And then we will continue to look for more and more innovative ways to continue to bring development to our country. In addition, of course, to the new hospital, we also have a number of new health facilities carried in this financial year to be built at Newtown, and we'll speak to Newtown a bit later, Coliho, Viecats, Bellevue, Chopin, 4 new health facilities to be constructed in this new financial year. And the much talked about also and somewhat controversial New Marigot Hospital, which is also set to be built, or this construction started in this financial year. And again, we want to thank the Mexican government for their kind donation of $5 million US dollars, 13 million EC dollars towards the construction of this hospital. And I want to announce that plans are in advanced stage and we should see work started in this financial year. And again, we could spend the rest of the night speaking to a number of initiatives, especially initiatives assisted by our foreign friends. And a lot of this would be done because of the friendship that has been forged by this Labour Party administration with a number of foreign entities. We can speak to our Cuban friends, and the much also talk about and much acclaimed, I can see clearly in our school program, where all school children, both primary and secondary, are being screened, and their body mass index are being taken to check on their nutritional state. And those found wanting are going to be given a new pair of glasses, complements the government of Dominica. All school children within the primary and secondary school system. And we are being ably assisted by our friends from the Republic of Cuba. The Mission Milagro, where we had the first phase, where our patients were flown to Cuba. Right now, the Venezuelans are in Dominica, and to date, over 300 surgical interventions have been done, treating people for cataracts and what they call pterygium, the growth flex. And yeah, thank you for your exuberance, my lady. Over 300, and these are people that their eyesight, they had lost their sight or they were in the process of losing their eyesight. And we have a number of testimonies as to the people where the eyesight would have been partially and in some cases fully regained. And we want to thank the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. And this is important. It's important, especially bearing in mind the internal turmoil that Venezuela is undergoing right now. And we want to pray, those of us prayer warriors, for the political and economic stability of a once great country, Venezuela. So while they continue to reach out to us in spite of the internal problems. So we will continue to help our people at the Dominican Labour Party. As I said, this is a hallmark of this administration, because the last time I checked in Dominica, we were a democratically elected government by the people, of the people, and in bold letters, for the people, which is why we'll continue to use the resources, whatever means we have, the CBI, whatever resources, we will continue to use it to develop you, the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. And we make no apologies for none of our programs. No regrets, no apologies for helping small business. We make no apologies for the washroom program, a program that the opposition laughed about, but we know the importance. I don't have to go into detail, the importance of having an indoor washroom facility. And especially in the rural areas. Maybe the urban areas, the problem is not so acute, but I can tell you in some of the rural areas, the discomfort that some of, especially our senior citizens, have to go through in using an outside facility. So while it might look like a very modest initiative, a washroom, what is a washroom? But to some people, it means a complete change of their life and also sanitation. We make no apologies for the National Employment Program. We make no apologies for committing to rehabilitating all community roads by the end of 2017, because it's your government, it's your resources, and we are spending it on you. So when they call you all sort of name, beggars, whatever, tell them it is your government resources, our resources, that is being spent. Again, I want to commend, in closing, I want to commend Senator Jaiziah Binwa. As I said earlier, a young man who went on to educate himself, people, and we want those of us more experienced, hold his hand instead of trying to bring him down. Because listening to him tonight, I think, methinks that he's doing a tremendous job. None of us are perfect, all of us need help. I've been in this for 7 years, and I think I need a lot of help myself. Not all of us need help, okay? He's young, but there's no denying his exuberance, and his heart is in the right place. So hold his hand. And as I said, let us continue to pray for the success of the CBI, ranked first in the Caribbean in the recent polls. So that means that we in Dominica, we are doing something good in terms of the due diligence and all of this. And let us continue to pray that the CBI continues to bring in much needed resources to develop a very difficult to develop country like Dominica, given our topography, etc. Because our people are depending on us for more small business assistance. There are a number of roads. We heard Jaiziah Binwa mention $4.1 million worth of roads in the Roseau South Constituency needing rehabilitation. So we have to continue to pray for that. And the CBI program, more importantly and closer to home for me, the Petit Servant Resettlement, a project that is set to cost over 100 million EC dollars. Where else in the world after a disaster would a government find that type of money to resettle over 800 citizens? So I've told my constituents, and I think it's very close to me because I'm from Petit Servant and we know what happened in Petit Servant, Tropical America. I've told my constituents, especially the few of them who is aiding and abetting the opposition to talk their Beatties. Beatties is part of our nonsense. I was about to use a stronger word, but I'm on national radio. Talk their nonsense. That while they're aiding and abetting to the opposition in talking the nonsense, trying to cry down the CBI, their very survival and future depends on it. Because other than that, the government will have to tell them, well, go back to Tisavan and debut your cause. So, those of you understand. So as long as God continues to bless this program, as long as God continues to bless this administration, we will continue to give back to our people. And I know God will continue to bless us because the Bible says, Ian Douglas, God loves a cheerful giver. So in closing, I want to thank you for listening to me. I really want to wish you well. I want to wish you well, Senator Jaiziah Binwa. And we can spend the rest of the year, the rest of our lives talking about what happened last elections. But just to let you know from our end, from the Labour Party end, that we are patiently awaiting the clarion call, Mr. Prime Minister, when the roll is called up, when the roll is called, to welcome the Roseau South back into the Labour Party fold, back into the Labour Party family. I thank you very much.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of Roseau South applause for the Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darroux. Thank you very much, Dr. Darroux, for your uplifting words to the people of the Roseau South. I'm sure we can all feel very positive about the outlook for Roseau South, where our development is concerned, following Honorable Darroux's remarks. At this time, we want to welcome to the podium another powerhouse of the Dominica Labour Party, the president of the party, in fact, and I want to welcome in a special way a champion of the Roseau South, Honorable Peter Seja, Minister of Education and Human Resource Development.
Thank you very much, Senator Josiah Benoit. Friends, let me say to you, speaking after Josiah tonight, while I have held true to the saying that short men are usually very powerful, tonight I honestly feel that I do not have the kind of power to deliver following Senator Josiah. But I will do the little that I can. Let me recognize the presence of the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Skerrit. I wish in a very special way to recognize your own man, a son of the soil, a real powerhouse, Senator Josiah Benoit, Dr. Kenneth Darroux, and what I consider the entire cabinet of ministers, and they are all over, not just up front. I think it looks like a cabinet meeting, or should I say a national rally? Of course, I want in a very special way to recognize you, the hundreds of supporters, residents of the Roseau South Constituency and more so Newtown area for turning out here tonight. Let me just say a pleasant good night to every one of you and to those listening via radio and the social media. I will attempt to be as brief as possible. Let me begin by saying that we need to establish first and foremost from the very onset that the Roseau South constituency, the PAL rep for this constituency is not Josiah Benoit. The PAL rep for the Roseau South constituency is one and only Joshua Francis. However, listen, however, the parliamentary representative for the Roseau South, Joshua Francis, is a miserable failure. And consequently, a vacuum has been created for leadership here in Roseau South. And that is why Josiah Benoit, a mosquito, has demonstrated to the people of Roseau South that the power of a mosquito is greater than the power of a cow. You see, because what they don't understand, a mosquito can bring a cow to his knees. And in the absence of leadership, it takes a young man, Josiah Benoit, to fill the vacuum that has been created. And so you need to be eternally thankful to Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, who always, on every turn, every decision that he takes, demonstrates wisdom, vision, and prudence. Friends, let me say to you that Dominica is not an easy place to run. It is not the easiest country, especially in these times, to be at the helm of leadership. And don't ask me how he does it. Those of us who sit at cabinet with him, we recognize that the only man that in this day and this hour can really man the ship of state in the manner that it is being done is none other than Roosevelt Skerrit. You heard your parliamentary representative, you heard the senator. This may just be prophetic. In fact, I'm feeling it tonight. Can you feel it? You heard the senator tonight speak to the level of development that has touched the lives of you, the people of Newtown and the Roseau South. Development of sporting facilities, development or construction of washrooms, road rehabilitation, the creation of employment through the National Employment Program and other vehicles, intervention through the small business, and the list continues. You heard him speak of education in Newtown and the Roseau South. Let me say to you that education, with all of the related training, constitutes for us here one of the most important tools for development. The Dominica Labour Party recognizes that for us to take this country forward, we must ensure that our people are fully exploited. Hence, when we took a decision to create universal access at all levels, we recognized that this was a prerequisite, a precondition for ensuring that our Dominican society becomes prosperous, that we live in a peaceful community, and that we live in a just society. In fact, Newtown is one of the shining examples of the resources that this administration has been putting towards educating our people. Right behind me is the new Newtown Primary School, a gift from the People's Republic of China, and we want to thank the People's Republic of China for assisting the people of Newtown and the Roseau South. In fact, let me say to you that the Newtown Primary School is the only primary school on island where we have a state-of-the-art ICT lab that meets CXC standards. Now, this school could have been in Trafalgar or La Plaine or Vieques, but we took a decision, and the Prime Minister took a decision to put this school here in Newtown to cater for the children of the Roseau South Constituency. We recognize that with respect to tertiary level education, that the number of students attaining bachelor's degrees over the last 10 years has grown exponentially. Today, as a result of the investments of this government in the education of our people, Roseau South, and more so the people of Newtown, now have, as never before, the largest number of young people studying in universities around the world. To a very large extent, that has been achieved because of the investments that we put in developing the Dominica State College. The DSC has played a pivotal role in that regard. In fact, you will recall a few years ago when the Prime Minister made a pronouncement that we sought to have 1 university graduate per household. You will remember the naysayers laughing us to scorn. While we may not have achieved 100% success, I give you every assurance that by 2020, every Dominican family will have not just a graduate from the State College, but a university graduate, including you, the people of Roseau South and Newtown. But all of that could not and cannot be achieved without prudent management of state resources. That is why, from the very foundational stage, and I see our teacher here, at the early childhood level, we ensure that we provide you with support to ensure that your children can do well. And you heard the senator speak of no less than 4 early childhood facilities in the immediate area. We ensure that parents now can send their children to these facilities without having to think of where the next $50 is coming from to pay that child's school fees. And we did this through an intervention by providing a monthly subvention to those facilities. At the primary level, we ensure that a support mechanism is put in place. We provide education support through the trust fund by provision of textbooks, the school transportation program, and importantly, the transfer grant. And let me say to you, friends, we will ensure that this year, all of the support that we give to your children, it will continue despite the global financial climate in which we operate. If children are not provided with basic education, their ability to develop a sustainable livelihood is seriously compromised. It cannot be right that the young boys of Newtown, the young men of Roseau South, they can only resort to the sea as fishermen. We must go beyond that. And it is in recognition of this that today we are making resources available to ensure that every young man, every child, every young woman is given an opportunity at receiving not just primary and secondary education, but that they can access the Dominica State College. And if we have to sacrifice some of our infrastructural works, the Prime Minister has given you the assurance that we will do to ensure that we provide the young people of Roseau South, Newtown, and Dominica a quality education. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say to you that we have actually spent in this last financial year no less than 15 million EC dollars providing support to our young people to achieve an education out of state. Now, we're not talking about the monies that we are spending here in Dominica. We're speaking here of monies that we are providing to support the children of the average people of Newtown and the Roseau South to attain a university degree. Let me say to you, in addition to that, you have heard the Minister for Science and Technology speak of the millions that we have expended at the Dominica State College to develop a center of excellence. Let me call on the young people of Roseau South. Since Stock Farm is within close proximity to your constituency, take advantage of the opportunities that we are creating to ensure that we can create business enterprises and new jobs in the ICT sector for the young people of this area. In addition to that, I want to, in this short time that I have here with you, to be very clear, and you heard Dr. Darroux speak to the source of funding. While over the past few weeks and months we have focused quite a lot of attention on the CBI program, and rightly so, and I'll tell you why. Because within the Dominican society, whether they are here or out in the diaspora, there are some who have launched a steaming attack on the source of funding that we have used to generate revenue to provide for our people right here in Dominica. And so we have a responsibility as Dominicans to defend our future, because an attack on our economy is an attack on the future of Dominica. So we have spent a lot of hours educating the Dominican public on why it is necessary that we must do what we are doing to sustain our people. But let me say to you that while some are seeking to destroy our economy, we have a prime minister, and I'm confident we have a cabinet of ministers who understand that in order for our elderly people who have made a contribution to national development to enjoy a decent living in their twilight years, we must go out there and source the requisite funding. Let me say to you, God forbid, but should the CBI program not be able to generate the kind of revenue that we now experience, friends of Roseau South, I give you every assurance that the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister, with whom we have the pleasure of working, is endowed with wisdom, he's endowed with prudence, he's endowed with the understanding to craft some other creative way of generating revenue to take care of the people of Roseau South and Dominica. I want to end tonight, but before I leave this podium, let me say to you that while it is true, and Dr. Darroux alluded to that we are a government of the people, for the people, and by the people, we need to recognize that among us there are many who do not understand that the government of Dominica is here to serve every single Dominican. This is not about labor or workers of freedom. It is about the people of Dominica. And so the people of Roseau South, who are yearning for leadership in this time and in this hour, we have a solemn responsibility to provide you with the resources, whether it be for the development of your roads, for the development of other infrastructure, or for the development of our human resource capacity. We will ensure that every man, woman, boy, and girl in Roseau South benefits from the resources of this country. However, for those who believe that Dominica belongs to the Labour Party or Dominica belongs to Roosevelt Skerrit, tonight I want to be very clear, without casting any shadow of doubt, that while Roosevelt Skerrit remains Prime Minister and the Labour Party remains the government of the day, we will not allow anybody internally or externally to determine for us as government what is best for the people of Dominica and Roseau South. And that is why we are here tonight. Because you have given us a clear mandate. And although Roseau South did not vote for the Dominica Labour Party, we are here dialoguing with you when your pal rep refuses to dialogue with you. Because we recognize that resident in Roseau South is a wealth of knowledge, and that we want you to advise us. Tell us tonight what it is that we ought to do using the resources that this administration can and will generate for the betterment of every individual in Roseau South and Dominica. Ladies and gentlemen, having said this to you, let me give you the assurance that in the face of the reopening of the school year has come to an end. Be assured that you will benefit from the uniform assistance, you will benefit from the provision of textbooks, and that the people of Roseau South, the children of Roseau South, and Newtown more specifically, shall not be left behind, because Dominica is yours, and so the resources of Dominica belong to you, the people of Roseau South. Thank you very much, and God bless Dominica, and God bless the Dominica Labour Party.
The powerful man from Dalis. Let's put our hands together. Dalis, Lapland, and other communities in the Lapland constituency. That was an impactful presentation, Honorable Seja, and we are very happy that we had you here this evening. Put your hands together once again. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome to this podium the wisest leader in the Western Hemisphere, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit.
All right, thank you very much. Let me, well, after listening to these three very comprehensive and powerful speeches, I must say to myself, there's no need for me to speak. But I must say that, my friend Isaiah did a very remarkable job this evening. And followed by Dr. Darroux and Honorable Peter Seja. Very, very passionate speeches. But I would like to recognize tonight, my cabinet colleagues were here in large number. Also, our friend, Honorable Senator Josiah Binwa, our former Minister and Pal Rep, Mr. Ambrose George, we have Honorable Dennis Charles, Member of Parliament for Soufriere. We have with us my wife, Melissa, who is here. The executive of our former Minister of Education, Ms. Sonia Williams, the executive, the media, all of you, the wonderful people of Newtown and the Roseau South. I'm very, very happy to be here tonight. And to all of the listeners who are following by live streaming and also for live broadcast. I see, we have the new chairman of the Loubier, Madrel, Fobawan Village Council here, Mrs. John Baptist. And Mr. John Baptist today is here. I also see, I believe, we have in the house, Guada. the most popular man in Guadeloupe and on radio. Always very articulate on the issues and always very well informed. I am here and I will speak to a couple of issues in Newtown and of course the Roseau South Constituency. And I'll also speak with you about the upcoming budget, the 2017-2018 budget. But just to make certain commitments to you in Roseau South, and to say that immediately after the budget is passed, you will see some major activities taking place in the Roseau South constituency. And I believe one of the major issues confronting the entire Roseau South constituency is the condition of your roads. I lived in Monbrose for many years and it was always a challenge there. You know, you drive through the center street in Kings Hill or the back road in Kings Hill, there are challenges. The road to Egliston is in a terrible state. From Fortney all the way to Egliston, Girondale. So I want to say to you, my dear friends from Roseau South, that the government is committing to improving or the complete rehabilitation of the following roads in the Roseau South constituency. And I want you to take note because every promise you make tonight shall be fulfilled with the help of God. We are committing to the Clark Road in Girondale, the Monbrose Road, the road in the area of the football house in Bath Estate, the first phase, because we're going to be doing the Egliston Girondale Road down to Castle Comfort in phases, because that is going to cost a lot of money. So we'll do the first phase of the Fortney Egliston Road. The center road in Kings Hill from the Newtown Savannah, going all the way up to Kings Hill past Mr. Richards' home and going up to the areas there. And the first phase of the Wall House Main Road, that is from the main road in Lale Coco there, all the way up, but we'll do it by phases because it is costing in excess of $1 million. So we're committing to the first $500,000 for that road. The bypass in Castle Comfort. The Castle Comfort coming across to the main road going up to Girondale. To Girondale. You see, I know these areas, you know. And I've been to all of these areas. The 5th Avenue in Madrill commitment has also been made for this. So we're talking about 8 major roads in the Roseau South constituency, which we will see commence immediately after the passage of this year's budget. Housing continues to be a major requirement in Roseau South. And in here, and tonight, we'll be speaking mainly to the Newtown people. We will be coming to Egliston, we'll be coming to Girondale, we'll be coming to Kings Hill, coming to Bath Estate to have similar type town hall meetings in their respective communities. But land was acquired in the Charlotte Valley some years ago, and we paid for it. And there were a few acres of land there. But planning in their wisdom and the Ministry of Housing did an assessment of the Charlotte Valley area. And when we thought we had the opportunity to create many lots, the area where the lots are, where the land is highly compromised in that you have, the planning told us we should not build homes beyond the little ravine that is there because it is a potentially troublesome area. So we only left with a handful of lots before you get to the ravine. And that has compromised our ability to effect some housing solutions in that area. The cost of infrastructure from sewage, from the lot to the main road was costing in excess of $600,000 just to build the sewage system. To bring water to the area will cost us about $500,000. So the cost of infrastructure is huge. And so we've studied the situation, and we felt that it would not make sense to sell the lots individually to people so they could build, because when you do the maths, it may not make much economic sense. But we have decided in the government, and based on advice, that a couple apartment units can in fact be constructed in the Charlotte Valley. And I'm saying to you tonight that the government is committing to construct 2 sets of apartments in the Charlotte Valley area. And Ambrose, you know, we have to get it done. So I haven't told you so, but I'm telling you so in the presence of the world, that I am assigning you to coordinate that on my behalf and ensure it is done. Because the truth is, I am tired about talking about Charlotte Valley. And something must be done, and let us get it done in this financial year. So the next time I come to Newtown, I shall be visiting the apartments under construction. I give you the assurances here in Newtown, and Senator Binwa articulated the government's position in respect to housing. That my view and that of the government is that if somebody comes to us requesting assistance to renovate their homes, let us do a complete and decent job for them. But for us to be able to do a complete and decent job for you, we must do proper assessments. And this is why we will be sending people to you to ensure that a proper assessment is done. So if it is a new roof you require, then a new roof we shall give to you. It makes no sense we give the people half of what the cost is, and they're unable to effect the improvements to their homes. So we'll be doing that, my dear friends, and assisting families and individuals to improve their housing situation. We are committed in Newtown and the entire constituency to eradicate the presence of pit latrines in this constituency and Dominica by extension. And the Senator mentioned to you the number of washrooms that have already been approved and funds transferred to the City Council for the construction of washrooms, and contracts were signed some months ago and work is ongoing. So we will be completely eradicating the presence of pit latrines in the entire country. And there's some, especially in the opposition, who have been criticizing the government for this. That is a matter for them. Because you see, these people did not come into politics to serve people. They do not spend time with people to understand the challenges which people go through from time to time. Because when you look at the opposition and those who made themselves available in that party to be representatives, they all came into politics looking for a job. And when you look at the Labour Party, every one of us left a comfortable job to come to represent people. That's the difference. And I've always maintained to represent people at whatever level, you must first love people. Politics is about people. It's about working with people. It's about interacting with people. It's about listening to people and seeing how you can help the people improve their lives, improve the lives of their family with the resources that you have. And when I hear them criticize also the public steward program, I said, honestly, I do say in my own prayer and in repeating biblical verses, Father, forgive them for they know not what they're doing. Because these people in opposition are so blinded by the narrow understanding of politics that they believe that it is their duty and responsibility to criticize everything that is good. Now, every single one of us in Dominica, every single family in Dominica, have had one health issue within the family or another. And let's reflect on it. Many of us have gone to the credit union in the bank and take the last $1,000 we have to provide medical care to a member of our family. Because for all of us, the health and well-being of our family is paramount, is number one. And we will do everything to ensure that we ourselves are in good health and will pay for it, our children or our siblings or relatives. And I can tell you, my dear brothers and sisters, I have had the occasion to introduce the public steward program, and I have had the responsibility of overseeing the public steward program. And I ask myself every time, what happened to Dominicans before we came into office? So many people may have died because they had no means, no access to government. What do you do as a prime minister of a country? And in your case, as the head of your own household. If somebody comes to me as prime minister of the country and say that they've just been diagnosed with breast cancer and they need some money to perform the surgery and to have post-surgery care, what do I say to the person? And it's not that we have a largesse and we do not know what to do with it. Or a situation where a couple have been married for 7 to 10 years, been trying to have a baby, and on the 6th occasion, that baby happened to be born alive, because the 5 previous occasions, there's been a miscarriage or some medical difficulties. And the good Lord blessed this person, this couple, with a child. And the child is born with a hole in his heart and needs 25,000 euros to go to Martinique now. Or Dr. McIntyre was saying to me that if the child is not flown out tonight, the child will die by tomorrow morning. What do you do as Prime Minister of the country? And I am saying to Dominicans, if I, as the Minister of Finance, has to borrow money to take care of the people of Dominica, to address their health cares, I will borrow money, ladies and gentlemen. Because I have seen and I have encountered families who have money and they have confided in me and said, look, Prime Minister, I had $300,000 in the bank. And every single cent of that $300,000 went into taking care of members of the family. So, let us understand this thing. And understand, my dear brothers and sisters, who really have your interests at heart. Who has your back in this country? We have a leader of the opposition who up to this day, 2 years later, has not been able to understand his responsibility as the leader of the opposition. I mean, I said in the parliament that I thought Hector John was the worst leader of the opposition Dominica had ever seen. But I believe I spoke too fast. Lennox Linton is the worst leader of the opposition Dominica has seen. I have never seen somebody more lazy than Lennox Linton. Edison James was leader of the opposition and he would do his little farming and sell his bananas, his cocoa, and so forth. So the man sits there, abuses people on the radio, scandalizes people on the radio, and playing Big Boucher, putting his suit, his triple suit, and going England in the Privy Council to fight a case, and then you come in Dominica and tell him and you only have $300 a month. And the man, so when you do the maths, 44 years the man will take to pay. Now, Linton is about 60 years. So, the man will be older than my Pampo when he will pay that money back. Now, I will tell you before I move on. That the case, one of the cases which the ministers brought against him, where he asked for $1 million, I am saying to Linton tonight that when the court make its pronouncement on how much you have to pay Roosevelt Skerrit, if you don't have money, Mr. Linton, you have to go and work on my farm for me. So, because if he's lazy, come and know what hard work is. So, So my friends, and in respect to the promise I made here at the Newtown Primary School to Newtown in respect to small business assistance, and I made a commitment of $500,000. And the only reason why you have not gotten that money because administratively we moved a little bit too late to get the money out of the system before the end of the financial year. But rest assured, as August appears and we pass the budget, ladies and gentlemen, we will start distributing the checks to you, the residents of Newtown, not Roseau South, just for Newtown. $500,000 for Newtown alone. You understand? So we have your applications. We have your applications. All of you who applied, we have gone through them, and we're ready to roll immediately after the budget is passed. So the commitment is there, and we shall fulfill that commitment. When I come to Eggleston and Girondale, I will speak about your program, and in Baffin State, we'll talk about your program when I come to your parts in the next several weeks. And Kingsley, of course. Now, I want to say to you, the residents of Newtown and Roseau South in general, that while the jungle bay is being constructed in Soufriere, you must also seek to take advantage of the opportunities. The opportunities which exist for jobs while the hotel is under construction, but also critically, jobs which will be available when the hotel is completed. Now, with 120 rooms, you're going to need a lot of people to provide services to these 120 rooms. But not only the direct jobs we should be mindful of. Newtown and the Roseau South Constituency has a thriving fishing program taking place. And Jungle Bay alone is going to require over 60,000 pounds of fish. So we have to position ourselves to take advantage of this opportunity. The little restaurants and so forth, we need to sit down with you to see where you are and how we can improve your restaurant so that you can take advantage of the tourists which will be coming into this part of Dominica. The boatmen, not only fishing, but you can look at also small tours within the area with your small boats with the appropriate safety equipment. I have been speaking with the proprietors of Fort Young, and I'm taking the liberty to say tonight that they will increase the number of rooms at Fort Young by 30. So we'll be putting in some 30 additional rooms at Fort Young. And once the government gives them certain green lights, they're prepared to start. So we're talking about major developments that will take place in our area, in the south. And we must position ourselves. My dear friends from Eggleston and Girondale, we have flowers. We need to sit down with you as a group and see where we are and where we need to take you to be able to take advantage of the provision of floral arrangements, especially when you be having weddings at Jungle Bay and special events. How do we position you so when the hotel comes, when the hotel opens, you're already at the stage where you can take advantage. So I will be coming to meet with you myself along with the Ministry of Commerce and Tourism to sit down with you to see how we can take you to that next level of being able to take full advantage of the opportunities. Because Dominica is a nature island. We have fertile soil. We have adequate rainfall. We should not be importing any flowers to Dominica. We should be able to provide all of the flowers and floral arrangements for ourselves, by ourselves. So we need to sit down with you, and we'll be bringing with us the Chinese Agricultural Technical Mission to be able to advise you on some of the techniques that we can use to really have our flowers taken to another level. My friend here, you know, he's dressed here tonight with every single thing made in Dominica. Stand up, let me see you, my brother. Made in Dominica. You know, so we have to sit with these artisans in a serious way and give them the support financially and otherwise to ensure that we can take advantage of the opportunities and not only cause Dominica to be our market, but we must see the world as our marketplace. So when the tourists come here, they should be going back with clothes made in Dominica. Souvenir items made in Dominica. That is the only way we are able to create jobs and grow the economy. One, we can bring in foreign exchange into Dominica. So we'll be sitting with you, my dear brothers and sisters, to ensure that we can provide you with the opportunities. We are committed, as the Minister for Health indicated, to the construction of the new health center for Newtown. And I am not from Newtown, but I am saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, that we must not let people mislead us in respect to our own development. That health center is too important for you, the people of Newtown. And we've been spending the last 10 years searching up and down in Newtown, looking for a site to build a health center for you. And we have found a site. And every expert is telling us that a school and a health center can live close by. So let us not get too involved in emotionalism and recognize what is good for us and what we need to do to get things done that is good for us. So we are waiting to you. The government has taken a decision to build a health center. You must rally around that decision to build a health center for you, the people. Because the Newtown area is too large for us to be going all the way to Roseau to get a little bandage on the little bubble we have. So I am leaving it there for the time being. But to say to you that let us not let people's vanity come in the way of what is really required for us here in Roseau South, and in Newtown in particular. And come back to tourism. We see the yachts coming there, but we have to place ourselves. What kind of services we can provide to the yachts here in Newtown? You know, so we'll be coming back to you. The Ministry of Tourism will come back to you. The Ministry of Trade will come back to you to sit with you, to say to you, the people of Newtown, look, these are the number of yachts which come to your area. How can we ensure that we don't only watch them on the sea, but how we can get the yachtsmen, the passengers on shore and take advantage of what we have to offer in Newtown. As I said to you, very soon we'll go to the Parliament to pass this year's budget. And we've had consultations with many organizations, many institutions, and many individuals across Dominica. And I must say, I had some, and of course along with some of my colleagues, we had some very constructive discussions with the unions, all of the unions. We invited all of the unions to come to talk to us about what are the suggestions for the budget. We spoke to all the private sector entities, from the Builders Association to the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association to DIC and the Manufacturers Association. I spoke to students, the young people. We spoke to the Dominica Association of Teachers too. I spoke to many school teachers. I spoke to many nurses. And hearing from people, the farmers, as to what are the aspirations, what are the recommendations for the government. And I must say, a lot of the discussion which we had, most of the recommendations which came from them were consistent with some of the discussions we had in the cabinet for consideration. And I would like to inform you and the people of Dominica that in this year's budget, we are providing some $15 million for the manufacturers of Dominica. And that $15 million will be at a 3% interest rate, with a 12 months grace period, which means that they will not pay any interest or principal before the year is up. And I can tell you, the manufacturers in Dominica, that there is nowhere in the Caribbean they will get the 3% loan, ladies and gentlemen. This year we're increasing the marketing budget for tourism, for destination marketing, from $8 million to $12 million. And all the hoteliers now, I was shocked, because the hoteliers like to say they're not making money. They could talk about low occupancy. But I was shocked when I heard the hoteliers saying, boy, that year was good. Boy, 2017 so far, we happy. Because they have seen an historical increase in visitor arrivals, stayovers, for the first quarter of this year, unparalleled any year before. And first my people smile like that, my brother. Normally when you meet the hoteliers, they complain about everything, including the hot sun. You understand? But the only thing they didn't do was to kiss me at that meeting, I can tell you. And I'm happy for them, because the more rooms that are occupied in Dominica, is the more jobs done for Dominica, more economic activity for Dominica, and better for all of us in Dominica. So we have to work with them, because we have to appreciate that they are investing in Dominica, and they're making huge sacrifices, many of them, to create jobs for Dominica. So we recognize that we have to continue to increase the marketing budget. And if you look at the budgets we have presented, every year we seek to increase the marketing budget to ensure that we can make Dominica known and cause more people to come into Dominica. So we're committed to that. You will also hear us announcing a special program of financing for entrepreneurs. And there's a very remarkable thing taking place in Dominica, where you have a number of people who have gone out to study and who have come back, they have their jobs, but they have a small business, creating jobs for our people in Dominica. And you also have people who have allowed an idea to grow into a practical thing they invest in. And they need the technical and financial support to sustain them. So in addition to the small business assistance, which we'll continue to give, we'll be announcing a special package of measures for entrepreneurs to build a culture and a spirit of entrepreneurship in Dominica. And we'll articulate this in a more detailed fashion when I deliver the budget address on behalf of the government and people of Dominica. We'll also be launching a special program in the area of human resource development to have more graduate degree holders in Dominica. Because what we have found with the government's revolution to access to tertiary education, we have seen a dramatic increase in the number of Dominicans with first degrees. But you need a second degree to really get the real further in-depth knowledge of your area of discipline. So we'll be launching a special program to target people who are interested in doing their master's degrees. But those master's degrees must fall within the national priority. So it's not what you want to study, but what the country needs that you must go and study. So we'll be making monies for that, and it will be an ongoing program. There'll be application forms, and we'll tell you more about the processes. So we'll finance that program. Another thing that I will announce in this year's budget. You see, some of us, we get scholarships, we get grants. Some of us we take loans, some of us have a combination of those things to go and study. And some of us come back. You understand? Some come back and some don't. And let me tell you something. I do not have any difficulty with those who stay abroad and work and make a way of life for themselves and send back a little money for their grandmother and so forth. What I have problem is the people who take their grandmothers home, put it in the bank, get a loan, and don't come back and poor granny lose a house. And sometimes there's the same people who are there talking on Facebook, you know. And I think that we have to find a way of rewarding those who come back to the service of the Commonwealth of Dominica. So I will be articulating a position on this in this year's budget. Because they go, they come back, they study, they want to build a home and so forth, but the student loan can be challenging. You know, some of them have to pay as much as $1,600 a month for the student loan. So we'll be looking at that to see what level of support we can provide to you. We'll also be launching a special program to train teachers, but specifically targeting the area of providing the skills to teachers to teach students with disabilities. I want there to be a revolution in the training of teachers to provide to people with special needs in Dominica. Because it is not because you have a special need you must be left out of the system. We have to ensure that because every child has an innate ability to learn and to do something. But we must have the knowledge and the skills to be able to draw this out of the child. And I must say in all fairness to teachers across Dominica, even those who do not have any training in special education, you can see that the school is trying with some programs, one program or the other, trying to ensure they provide for the young people, the children of Dominica. But we have to provide the skills and the educational knowledge to the teachers, and we'll be announcing that in this year's budget. So to teachers who are interested in special education, get yourself ready, because one of the things we may end up doing is to enter into an agreement with a university across the world. So we'll be partnering with one university who can tailor programs for us and ensure that we can send our teachers there over a period of time. So we'll be ensuring that that is done. We'll also be focusing, and if you realize we are focusing heavily on training. Not that we're not training people, and I'll explain to you why I want to ensure that we have trained people in this country. We'll also be embarking over a major program of training people to acquire various skills in the technical vocational areas. And also hospitality. We need more carpenters in Dominica. We need more plumbers in Dominica. How many of us in Dominica have a sink or a toilet bowl that are not working properly and we have to turn it off every time because we can't get a plumber to come do it for us? We need to have more electricians in Dominica. We need to have more masons in Dominica. And not only training you in an informal way, we will be training you in a formal manner. So at the end of the training program, you would receive a certificate of completion so that if tomorrow you have to travel in another country within CARICOM to work, you have your skills certificate as a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, a mason. So Dominica will not only be your area to seek a job, you have the whole CARICOM because we can move freely under the CARICOM system and the OECS union. So we have to prepare ourselves for this. I am particularly concerned, and we in the government we are particularly concerned about our hospitality services in Dominica. Customer service. If we are building 5-star hotels in Dominica, our service cannot be a 2-star. And therefore we have to take our people in the hospitality industry to a 5-star service level to be able to provide services to our visitors who will come to our 5-star hotels. Because if we do not address this, because we have seen an increase in the number of hotels being constructed, brand names, international names, we must prepare ourselves to take advantage of those jobs. Because if you're in a 5-star hotel and you're providing 2-star service, one, they will not employ you, but if perchance they employ you, you will not stay there too long. And therefore, I want to prepare our people to take advantage of those jobs. It is very difficult in Dominica, those of us who love plants, it is very difficult to get flowering plants in Dominica. A man I give you 6, but you're looking for 60, he can only give you 6. And he tell you, I just put some curtains down. And when you watch down, it's only 20 bags he has. But there is money to be made. There is money to be made, and the people who are involved in it have other jobs. You understand? I mean, Desmond is one of the bigger fellows in Dominica. But even he will tell you that, I mean, you see Desmond every day, he's driving there, driving over there, he has to go up there, he has to go down there. He is unable to supply the demands. So we need to prepare our people, because the hotels will keep asking for plants. And do we want to import the plants from Miami and so forth? No. This is natural island of the world. We have the environment for plants. So we need to prepare ourselves, but our people must be trained. Because doing these things is not about just putting some sand and soil in a bag and putting a little cotton in. There's a science to it. And we must know the science. So we'll be providing the training to our people in order to take advantage of those jobs. And we'll also be providing training to people to take advantage of the many senior management and middle management jobs in those establishments. So prepare ourselves for the graduate program, degree program, the master's degree program for Dominica. Prepare ourselves for a focused determination by the government to train people in the technical vocational fields, and ensuring that we can provide you with the civic cues that you require in order to take advantage of the jobs in the region. We'll also be seeing $1.6 million in the budget to fully operationalize the abattoir. The abattoir is functioning. We are slaughtering birds, the chicken. We are slaughtering pigs. And I am saying to you, we are seeing more and more Dominicans buying the meat from the abattoir, and that is good. Because if in the first year or two, we can keep, even if it is $500,000 into Dominica, that is $500,000 which will go to the pig farmers in Dominica. That is $500,000 that will go to the chicken farmers in Dominica. And that is $500,000 less we'll have to send out of Dominica through foreign exchange. So when people cry down the abattoir, that's a matter for them. But for us in the government, we recognize that every job we can keep in Dominica is one less person who will be unemployed in Dominica. So let us understand this. So we want Dominicans to continue to support the abattoir. Let us take a decision at our homes to minimize on the use of imported chicken. When you go to the supermarket to buy pork, ask for the Dominica pork. And I no longer eat pork, but the Dominica pork is juicier than the imported pork. The imported pork has no fat in it, nothing, there's no flavor in it. And when I stew my pork, I want to have a little fat in it so that the fat itself can make the flavor. You understand what I'm saying? Jaisa, you can cook? Yeah. It looks like Jaisa has his meals in 4 hours, so he doesn't have to cook. But you see, I know everything, So don't test me. But so we have to support the abattoir. Because you see, government can do all what government wants to do. We can build the abattoir, we can give farmers money to build their farms, we can slaughter the pigs and the birds at the abattoir, but if you and I, Dominicans, don't buy it, then it comes to naught. So I know, because I buy the chicken from the abattoir, I know that it is a little more expensive than what we get. But my friends, the distance it has to travel from where it's coming to Dominica. And let me tell you something, this country sent us the question, the last kakarot pieces, is what they don't want to send to us. So when we think we're eating good chicken and nice chicken and big legs and so on, is what they do not want. And what we send to you at the abattoir is what we want you to eat. That we all eat the same meat in Dominica. So I am saying to you, my dear brothers and sisters, let us support the abattoir because we're creating jobs for the people of Dominica. Now, agriculture is the same thing. We're providing loans to farmers, and I can say to you, dozens and dozens and dozens of farmers have contracted loans from the Aid Bank to invest in their farms. And what is very striking and very important and worth noting, and which is encouraging, because what I'm saying is that there's an increasing number of professionals in Dominica. People who are working in the banks, people who work in the private sector, people who work in the government system, medical doctors, lawyers, who are contracting loans from the Aid Bank to invest in their farms, to create farms in Dominica. So, when the opposition is criticizing the government for putting those monies at the bank and saying that nobody's taking the loans, if I was Hector John, I would take a loan and go into a farm in Salisbury Heights. People are contracting those loans. People are taking those loans and creating jobs, increasing agricultural output. And that is good news for Dominica, my dear brothers and sisters. Because as we say, if it's one job we can create, that is one person less who is unemployed and who is able now to feed his family. Because for all of us, it is a sense of pride where we can bring the paycheck home and be able to take care of our families. We can go to your neighbor's shop and take credit. And that is why I find it extraordinarily difficult to understand when the opposition, day in, day out, criticizes the National Employment Program. When even in the United States of America, in the United Kingdom, in almost every country in CARICOM, they have such a program. So it is good for the goose and not good for the gander. And then when they go to other countries and they stay in America, tell us how great other economies are. But these countries are doing those things. That there are people who come back from universities, and even if your degree doesn't mean that you are entitled to be employed by anybody, you still have to apply. And sometimes the people want experience, and you do not yet have that experience. And they will not pay you to come to be trained on the job for 3 years, or 2 years, or 1 year. And what we're seeking to do is to provide an opportunity for the people who have gone out to study and who are back in Dominica, give you an opportunity to demonstrate in a practical sense that which you have learned through theoretical means, and place you in a better position to take advantage of the jobs which are available, whether in Dominica or in the Caribbean. And what we have seen as a result of this is that we have been able to make graduates from university more attractive in terms of their CV. And some of them, many of them, have graduated out of the National Employment Program and found permanent employment in either the business where they're working or somebody else. They apply for a job, and based on the interview, they get the job. And when we go to other countries and we see how beautifully landscaped the highways are, who we think are doing this job? Robots? People? So what is wrong? What is wrong in we as Dominicans beautifying our country? And why should the leader of the opposition, why should the United Workers' Party let our people believe that there's something wrong about we keeping Dominica clean and beautiful? What is wrong in that? We send our Dominicans to Canada to pick fruits and to work on the farms. That's a means of employment. There's nothing wrong with that. So they're giving the people an impression that those of us who are engaged in cleaning and beautifying, we have a problem to that. I can tell you, my friends, even as Prime Minister of the country, you come to my village and you may see me on the roadside planting flowers or cleaning the road. Because I feel too that I have a responsibility to my community. But Mr. Linton believed that he's better by sitting in a radio station and talking a bunch of nonsense all night. And that's what it is. I can understand. I mean, where in the world, my friends, where in the world a leader always going to spend so much time on a radio like that? And I don't mind if he's talking sense or he's making sense. I mean, a bunch of nonsense day in, day out. I mean, when you have so many, I mean, talk about the country, what you can do to make life better for people. Say to us, look, I went to that village and I met 5 families and the families had those concerns. How can the government help them? Nothing like this. You know, and I know those of you in Newtown who voted for these fellows, I know you have asked God. I know you have asked. So I'm not even going back. I know for sure that whenever the elections are called, that you are going to return the Dominica Labour Party in Roseau South. Because I was at the village council inauguration this afternoon in Loubet. Et puis, Joshua Francis a dit, moi toujours au Loubet. Well, et même moi dit, ou pas voir pièce bitin. I told him he hasn't started seeing me in Roseau South Constituency. And you see, this piousness that Joshua Francis like to show and like to pretend and so forth. I mean, he came there and he told you, okay, I can represent people, I can do this and do that. Where is he? You see, where is he? He comes there soft-spoken. Of course it's tricksy. And I am happy that the elections have not even been called and won't be called anytime soon, that you in Roseau South have made up your minds that some of us, we made a little mistake, we put the X by the wrong place because we ISIS troubling us. But with the Mission Milagro, with the ICare program, our eyes fixed now. So you have no excuse next time to not put the X by the correct box and the correct symbol. Because nous pas vle pièce ligoine pour couper nous Dominic. Because I can tell you seriously, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Running this country is not an easy task, eh? And I can say that the good Lord has been very good to us in Dominica. And it is He who we give the praise. Because when I reflect on what Erica did to us 2 years ago, 2 years ago, not even 2 years yet, eh? August, not even 2 years yet. Next month, will be 2 years. But what Erica did to us and where we are now as a country, every single Dominican who calls himself a God-fearing person, whether you believe in Allah or whatever it is, must say that this government has done a remarkable job in keeping Dominica afloat and doing all what we have done and continue to do for the people of this country. Because we could have said to you, we can't help our students studying overseas, and you would understand. We could have said to you that we cannot build no washrooms for you, and you would understand. We would say to you that we cannot provide any small business support, and we granted over $10 million this year for small business, and you would understand. We could say to you that our roads can remain bad, and you would understand. But no, notwithstanding Erica, my dear brothers and sisters of Dominica, we continue to reach out to families and individuals in Dominica to help make your lives better. Not one of our programs has been set aside because of Erica. Not one. We've added programs, both economic and social programs. I could have said to the hoteliers that I do not have $15 million to give you. I have to build retaining walls. I could have said to the farmers last year, we do not have $10 million to give you for small loans, for loans. I could say to the manufacturers that I do not have $1,000 farm out of $15 million to give you in the upcoming budget. We could say to entrepreneurs that we do not have money to give you, fight your way. But no, we continue to do this. And when you look around the world, every single country is going through its challenges, my dear brothers and sisters. And I say to those who want to criticize Dominica, who want to give the impression that nothing is happening and everything bad in Dominica, and the few of us who believe them, I'm saying to those of you who believe them, take a flight and go to any country in the world. And when you reach those countries, I guarantee you that you will see more challenges in those countries than we experience here in Dominica. So, let us understand this. And my final point, I see Don Leogal in there. And there are some youngsters who have gotten partial scholarships to go and play football at universities. And though I have not met you, but I got your correspondence, and we will be supporting those youngsters to take advantage of the scholarships to go to universities in the United States of America. And of course, with the advent of the construction of the indoor sports facility to provide for indoor basketball, netball, and volleyball, and also having an Olympic-sized swimming pool, that is a dream for young people and sports people in Dominica. And notwithstanding Erica, the Minister of Finance has set aside the money to construct this indoor sports facility, which will be of an international standard to take sports in Dominica to the next level. My dear brothers and sisters, to you, sorry for being so long. But I want to thank you for the courtesy of listening to me. And I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, that we shall continue to work with you to help improve your lives, improve the lives of your family, and improve the well-being of our country. We have a country to build. Those of us who are positive, those of us who love Dominica, let us hold hands and let us put our hands to the plow and build our country. Those who do not love Dominica, those who want to curse Dominica and see darkness fall upon Dominica, those who are living overseas and will never be able to come back home, but they find the Christian in Dominica, that is a matter for them. That is a matter for them. But we must always remember that the vast majority of us in Dominica will only have Dominica to call our home. And therefore, let us build Dominica to take it to the level that we all would like it to be in the next 10 to 15 years. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's say a thunderous round of applause for our Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, for speaking to many of the issues that have been at our heart's focus for the past several weeks. Very, very powerful and touching speech. We have residents from all over the Roseau South here tonight, and I think each and every one of us could feel that our communities will be touched following this town hall meeting, ladies and gentlemen. We can feel it. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Roseau South, let them know you can feel it. Thank you very much. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we come to a very important part of our program this evening. The part where we can hear from you, the residents of the Roseau South, and respond as best as is possible to the concerns that you have raised. So we're going to do it in a very organized way, where we'll have groups of 5 to go to the mic, which is placed there, to make your intervention, and then we'll try to respond as best as possible. Our head table will try to respond. So please, by a show of hands, those of us who want to make an intervention, we have Mr. Lafont, we have Miss Rowe, we have a lady at the back here. Well, Mr. Lafont, you have to wait. I just call in the first 5. Our residents from Newtown will take priority. So we also have Miss Natasha Iloilabad. Anybody else? And Mr. Bedminster. So we have Mr. Leoga. So we have the first 5. So just allow them the courtesy, I'll call up. So let's hear from Deso.
Deso.
Yes, sir.
Good night, Prime Minister, to all the ministers, and to all my community members. I have to say thanks to the government for the job that they have done for us. I sat there tonight, and even before on my way down, that labor right getting blows all how she turned. A man said by the shop, where they going? What the FCBI doing for them? Me myself, I'm KRD. I cannot say the answer. But without CBI, where would we have been? And my answer to them on the mic is, CBI goes, something else will come to us. And thanks for the foresight, the vision, and the knowledge that the Prime Minister has, that he is able to distribute that amongst all of us in Dominica. I'm going to the next topic. When the Prime Minister spoke about tourism, I was really wondering whether we were going to speak about tourism tonight. Because I have my boy, 28, 29. He is in diving since at the age of 12. He has 2 boat captain's licenses. He has done his training in first aid. And within a year, my son has rescued people within the constituency, directly or indirectly. His name is McDowell Joseph Clement. He saved a young child, directly, one indirectly, and the major accident we had up Fortney. When the truck hit that transport from behind, we cannot understand how the young man came out from that vehicle. But the first person he called for was my son. And if my son did not run from all the way across the Prime Minister's office right now to reach up there, this young man would have died. That is Oyo. His head was facing down. He had a major cut in his leg, and he performed first aid on that young man. What I'm trying to say, we have a lot of young guys on the road in Newtown that have their skills. Probably we need to bring them further or head them to go further from where they are. For example, my child, he has 2 boat captain's license. You understand? We in the tourism industry, and the Prime Minister spoke about Eggleston and the flower arrangement business. Mr. George would know that. He's my cousin. My grandmother grew a lot of carrots, cabbages, and my sisters and I and my cousins, his brothers and them, we just used to wipe the carrots off our legs. And those carrots were very sweet. So we do not only have to go into flour. We can also go into our vegetables and our green seasonings. And just advising, you don't have just...
Okay, we have to keep the interventions at a reasonable length so others can ask their questions.
I hope they have good questions for my Prime Minister. And as he knows, I'm probably the only or most vibrant sport person here. And I have to say thanks to the Prime Minister for our sport complex. However, as a netballer, we need something down lower where we can train before we can go up to the complex. Thank you.
All right, let's put our hands together for Deso. I always say if it's one mother that loves her son, it's Deso. Deso loves her son. Let's hear from Miss Natasha Iloilabad.
Okay, good evening to our representatives, and thank you, Mr. Benoit, for allowing me the opportunity to ask these questions. So I have 2 questions. One related to the indoor sports facility. I was happy to hear that you have an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and I think it ties in very timely with the focus on vocational training. And I note that we are investing millions into academic education. But I think the people in Newtown know from experience that there are quite a few sort of hindrances for those who may not be very academic. They may not be able to take advantage of the scholarship opportunities because of poverty, because of access to proper housing, socialization. So I think one of the things that I would like to see materialize, and I would really like to hear from the Prime Minister and those who are here with him, how is this sports facility going to allow for access to those youths to be incorporated, whether it's through leisure, whether it's through vocational training, probably to have qualified lifeguards, maybe even customer service training, so that not only will this sports facility be available to play sports, but it will be there as a house, you know, for those persons who need that outlet, whether it's vocational or through leisure, maybe boxing for the guys who are on the block. When I parked my vehicle, they were having a really excited discussion. Maybe if they had the indoor sports facility available where they can come and do sparring, boxing, develop themselves professionally, how would that vocation tie in the sports facility? And second, in terms of access for education, I noted that 2020 vision to have the graduates and the need for that entrepreneurial spirit Many of the persons in the Caribbean and Latin America is within that age category of 18 to 24. So it means that we need to start the interventions earlier, before it's too late. So at primary school, and I would really like to hear what type of support are there for charities that have that focus of entrepreneurial education. I know Mr. Seja and I know the Minister of Youth have already made commitments, but I would like to see some sort of tangible financial commitments going to those programs to allow for entrepreneurship education to be implemented so that we can have that culture of entrepreneurship from primary school and kindergarten even. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from Mr. Bedminster. Then we have Mr. Lafo. Comment.
I'd like to say good evening to the PM and his cabinet. And good evening to the residents of Newtown, Roseau South. My contribution is more a thank you note. Okay, but however, during your speech, PM, I heard you mention about special ed. I don't know if it's the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, but it related directly to me because I have an autistic son, okay? And it's very challenging. Now, my wife, she went to high school, she went to college, she's well educated. My son will be getting 10 years this year. And she could not have done not one day work. That means I have to be working alone all the time. I'm not complaining. I'm a man and I have to work to support my family. However, as we know, it would have been better if there were another salary coming in, okay? And it touched me. And I would like to ask if you or if the government will be making provision for families with children like this. You know, an intervention. We try to incorporate them into a school, but it's very expensive. We just can't meet the tuition. It's too much. So it's off, the list. And if we could get him into a facility, that means my wife could work. Instead of asking for assistance from the government, she could work. So we could build our family, financially. And, so I'm just asking for this thing. Please, if you put something in place, it will be good. Not for me, but for all of us who have children, in that condition. And I want to say thank you for all what you have done, you and the government on a whole. Because sometimes I get off myself. I'm a Labourite. Everyone knows that. But I get off myself and just think, taking off the bias, or not trying to be biased, and say, what they have to offer, the opposition. And it always comes back to me, nothing. So I am really better off being a Labourite and supporting the Labour Party right off the box. No apologies to that. Come on, and when I was younger, there was a program called Touched by an Angel. The people who are my age or a little older will know that. And when I look at the program, for the elderly, I think of that program. Guys who oppose that, I think they haven't got a heart. Or if they have a heart, they are just politically biased. So I want to tell you, thanks for everything you are doing for people. Because I've seen families, poor families, receive housing. Never before have I seen that. So I cannot vote against that. No, I'm in my 50s now. I'm living that route, and I'm in the middle-age section. Had my family, my mother and my father been alive, they would have been up there in the 80s and the 70s. That means they would have been getting the assistance. That's help from my pocket. I have children under 18. That's help from my pocket. So people, we have to get real. We made a mistake. I call it a mistake to vote the other party in this constituency. Next time, let it not be happening, okay? So that's my contribution, and thank you very much.
Very much, Garfield. Let's hear from Mr. Lafo. And then after Mr. Lafo, we'll hear responses from our head table. Oh, and Mr. Leogal, sorry.
Good evening to the head table.
Good evening.
As Mr. Bino has said, this is here for Lafo. A lot of people must be hearing the voice on radio, but they don't know the individual. First thing I'm going to touch on is housing. Mr. Austria, I think he's doing one of the biggest jobs right now in Dominica, because it's a big concern of the housing situation in Dominica. And what I would like to bring forward, I know there's a lot of people who have lots and they cannot build. And some people will come out and ask for assistance. Some people would ask for a lot because they want to move from where they are to bring up their family. What I'm trying to say is, if the government, the lots some of the people have, we know the salaries, probably they cannot meet the bank or the credit union that they can get the loan. So if the housing minister or the government could think of putting up apartments, in other words, like what happened in Baffert State or Emsall, and what we are going to see in Pong, just now where I was born, I think it would be a great thing for the people of Dominica. It's like Guadeloupe, probably some of us travel, Canada, England, all where you see, there's a lot of Dominicans who live away and in the apartments they are living. So if we can go more into the apartments, I think it would be better for our people. Secondly, I'm just going to touch on something else.
Let's listen to Mr. Lafont.
My next touch is roads. I think we have a very hard working Minister of Communication and Works. Because first time in my life, I have seen work so in Dominica for roads, walls, I mean, just name it. And after the housing minister, I will say plain, the hardest working minister in the government is the Minister of Public Works, Mrs. Blanchard. Nobody can decide that's not true. And another thing I observe, Mr. Prime Minister, the Minister of Security. When I listen to in fact, what should I say is, the Minister of Security, I listen to when they have in his town hall meetings, and when he's going to open certain areas on his roads. Why he cannot invite the Minister of Public Works? He want to do everything for himself. And the way I watch it, if you are building walls, if you are building roads, the person that's supposed to be there is the Minister of Communication and Works. The Minister of Roads should be opening it. He wants to take everything. I mean, all of us know that. We are smiling, but that is my concern. I just don't like, and I think that as Minister of Security, he must work more on his portfolio than working more on the Minister of Public Works. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lafont. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Just to deal with the last point made by Mr. Lafont, I think there's a misunderstanding. Normally, when it is a constituency level project, that is usually led by the PAL rep. Okay, so that's why you would see Mr. Blackmore always opening his roads and doing his stuff by himself and so on. But I will say to my friend raised some very important points, you know. So we've taken note of the points. I think, you know, somebody like your son with this qualification will play a very important role in the training program, you know, to provide training to a number of our young men and women who like to take the sea as the area of earning a living. So we'll certainly be calling on him with the high qualification which he has, and in respect to his captain licenses and so forth. And in respect to tourism, I mean, I just highlighted a couple of them, and likewise, I just made reference to flowers. But it will be looking at a wide gamut of areas within the tourism and hospitality sector. The indoor sports facility, Natasha, and how do we link it to vocational training? And you made some valid points. I mean, you are an expert on that. You know, so you made some very valid points in respect to the kind of skill sets we require for the indoor facility. So that point is well taken. Clearly, we're going to have to refocus the State College to some extent. My respectful view, and it's not a criticism of the State College, that's how the environment is, that there is a heavy focus on academic pursuits. And therefore, we need to get the college to be more balanced in its delivery of tuition and skills and knowledge to our population. And so the college will be responsible in large measure for the provision of tuition in respect to the training and the various areas of training in the country. And they will also be providing certification. But we'll also be engaging highly skilled and qualified people in those areas. So they are at a high level in terms of their proficiency and knowledge of the areas of concern. We're not just taking anybody to train people. We have to ensure that people know what they're about, and when our Dominicans train, they can provide the services here or anywhere in the world that it is required and so forth. In respect to supporting private institutions who are doing entrepreneurship training, it's a point we note, and I'm sure we will be looking at that suggestion in a positive light and so forth. Because part of one of the components of the entrepreneurship program is to provide training to some of the entrepreneurs and so forth. Because, I mean, as you know, business is an evolving system. I mean, you know, what happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago may no longer be relevant. No, they're new systems, new accounting systems, new management styles that one has to acquaint himself with. I want to say to my friend, you know, that the issue of the training of teachers in the special education, it is something very critical, and I have been encountering more and more students who are suffering from autism in Dominica, and I see how it has had an impact on families. And you're right, I have seen families where either both members or one member or one parent cannot go to work. You must stay home because the school systems are not properly, are not catering, properly staffed and equipped. Even if the principal and teacher have the best interests and want trying to help, but they are just unable to help. And therefore, we first have to provide the training. But it's not only training, but looking at the families who have children with these special needs, and to look at the welfare of these families, and to ensure that these families are in a position where they can provide for their children, and ensure that the children can have a better life. Because in my reading on autism and so forth, if the children are imparted with the proper tuition and the guidance, they can become productive citizens. Yeah? You know, because they have the ability to learn spatially, to be able to learn and to draw and to sing and all these wonderful things. You know, but we have to ensure that at the formative years, we can capture the semblance of autism and be in a position to provide specialized training and education to those children. But we have to be sufficiently qualified. And that cannot be a little workshop here, a little workshop on the summer. It must be trained properly. And when the teachers are trained, that the state, the government provides the tools, the equipment, the resources. So you don't only having an empty classroom with a trained person, but ensuring that we have the tools so that there will be special classes. You know, I taught a school in Texas for a term, and I had to teach one of the special education classes. And I mean, we used to have, for example, in the classroom different color bulbs. So we have a yellow bulb, a red, and we'll allow children to bring in their couch and their bed from home, and because children like this learn with the environment that they feel comfortable with. And if you do not have the training, the practical training to impart it, you can cause irreparable damage and harm to the children. So sometimes we're trying something, but something is not what it really should be. And I think we have come at a time in the country where we have to provide for our special children in Dominica. And we must find the resources, we must train our people, we must provide it all. And the training is not going to limit it to the teachers. People like yourselves will come to a classroom to understand how to deal with a child at home. You understand? So it's going to be a holistic program to ensure that every one of us who comes into contact with our children who are suffering autism can play a role, can make a contribution to the child's welfare and well-being. Because for families who have children with autism, one of the major preoccupations of these families is leaving this child behind. You understand? And I believe we have to be our brother's keeper and to see what we can do to minimize that anxiety and that worry. And for me, the $15 million for the manufacturers and the roads and so forth, to me, go into the budget, one of the things I feel very, very emotional about and concerned about is that training for special education children. You know, we have to provide that for children. One of the projects you will see us speaking about, Mr. Lafont, you know, in budget, is a middle-income housing development. We have dealt with the low-income people. We've dealt with the low-income people. We are seeking now to target the middle-income people, because, as I made the point earlier, the number of young people who are now in the middle class, who are going to study, who are back, who are paying their student loans, who would like to build a home, but do not yet have the resources to consolidate to do that. And just to give you an idea as to what this housing thing is going to be, and more than likely, we will use the Dominica Social Security to finance that housing development. So it's an investment for them, and they will make their returns on the investment. And we're targeting in the first instance lands owned by the Social Security in Warner, this big flat in Warner. The Social Security has about 200, 300 acres of land up there. And what we intend to do is to partner with this DSS, where we may decide as a government to put in the infrastructure. So we'll put in the roads, we'll pay for water connection there, we'll pay for lights and so forth. So if the value of the house, including infrastructure and everything, is $300,000, the government will say, well, let us remove the government's share in that of $50,000. And therefore, we'll sell the house to the middle-income person at $250,000. So in a sense, the government will be subsidizing the house, but the person will be able to go to the bank, and the banks are already running to us to say, we'll provide mortgages for those houses and so forth, so that there'll be pre-approved a mortgage system and program at the banks, where you go there and you say, I want to buy a house, my house is $23,000, and that's what I'm talking about, house and land, you understand? And then you'll get the mortgage from the commercial bank, and the government will subsidize, say, $40,000 or $50,000. So instead of buying the house for $300,000, you would buy the house for $250,000, and thereby you're able to own your own home and stop the paying of rent So you have your own investment and so on. So these are the kind of things we're looking at in the budget to respond to the concerns and challenges confronting families, and with the little resources that we have, in a practical way, doing those things and so forth. So you're right on target in respect to the number of people who would like to build, who may have the land, but they're still paying the banks for the loan, and they have to wait till they finish pay the loan for the land to build, and by that time, 10, 15 years gone, and so forth. So we're trying to fast track, so to speak, people's ownership of homes in Dominica. So this housing project will target middle income people. And the reason why we're allowing the banks to finance it is that we do not want to compete with the banks. Understand? We don't go to compete with the banks, because if the government goes and competes with the banks, there'll be less business for the banks. Less business for the banks means less staff for the banks. They will send people home, and it can have a negative domino effect and so forth. So we're getting the commercial banks involved, those who would like to get involved, the credit unions who want to get involved, to be able to provide mortgages to purchase those homes in Dominica. And we expect those homes to commence construction in the upcoming financial year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PM, for responding to our first round of questions. Next, we'll have Mr. Leo Girl, followed by our lady right here, then Mr. Kemai John, Keraya John Baptist, and Mrs. Thomas. So that'll be our final round, PM. That'll be the final round of interventions. Miss. Okay, well, anybody? Yes, you were in the previous group, so you can go after Mr. Leo Girl. Yes, Mr. Leo Girl.
Okay, let me say good evening to the Prime Minister, Mrs. Skerrit, my good friend, ex-schoolmate, Minister of Education, Peter Seja, Mr. Douglas, a very good friend of mine also, Honorable Douglas, Mr. Darroux from St. Joseph, not Darroux from Petit Savan. But Mr. Darroux, good night also. The Prime Minister beat me to it. But nevertheless, I'm still going to just say a few words. Sometime in January, the Harlem Sports Club took an opportunity that was given to it by the Free Kick Foundation of St. Lucia, where we sent some 7 footballers, 2 female, 5 male, to St. Lucia to a football showcase in front of coaches and scores from universities of America, in America. And 5 of them are awarded scholarship, okay? But they are not full scholarship, they're partial scholarship. 1 is still in the making, so hopefully it will be 6. There's still 1 that we are still waiting on to get confirmation. And we have already done everything that we can, okay, to make sure that the students are on the way, but there's still some financial hiccups that we are facing. And that is the reason why I had to write to the Prime Minister. I didn't get any response from him, so that's why I was here tonight, to make him know, okay, that I sent a request in, but he mentioned that he got it, and he will be meeting you very soon. I just want to mention, too, that some of the kids are to be out by the ending of this month. They have the 31st of July to leave states because they have to be in some mini camp in January. Okay, so it's important that whatever we do, that we get to meet as soon as possible so we can, okay, deal with the matters at hand and see how we can get them out by the end of July. 3 of them, 4 in fact, are from the Roseau South Constituency, 3 from Kingshill, 1 from Baverstate, 1 from Port Michel, 1 from Goodwill. So those are the 6 students that we have that hopefully will be on their way to college. They're not just going to college for education. It's a football scholarship. And we have been lamenting for years that Dominica doesn't have any professional footballers out there. We are getting an opportunity to send some kids, and the intention is that in the next 4 or 5 years, they will become professional footballers. So Dominica will have, we are confident that we can have at least 2 or 3 professional footballers, if not playing in America or somewhere in the next 4 or 5 years. Okay, among that are 2 female footballers, and they are all national footballers, all national players at the tender age of under 20. So that has to be taken into consideration. Okay, so we'll be very grateful, Mr. Prime Minister, that we can get that meeting with you, and we can make arrangements to have that matter addressed. On a more localized level, there were mention made of the rehabilitation of the Center Street Road. But the back street at Kings Hill, I think, is worse off than the Center Street Road. Some work was done on the Center Street Road from the top and the bottom. In the middle, okay, was left out. But the back street is very, very bad, especially close to the same gentleman with the restricted. Some person built just at the bottom of the road there, and they were supposed to be a returning road, but that hasn't been done, and that road is collapsing right in the corner down there. So that can be a very dangerous area. So I think priority, in my humble opinion, should be given to the back street road before the Center Street Road. As the president of Harlem Sports Club, the facility down at Newtown, they were the old school, and we are the one who is responsible for the facility. Right at the side of the facility, there is a hard cut, and we've been battling for years to see how we can get that rehabilitated into, well, it doesn't have a full cut, but we can get a half cut, and I think it is important because we have a lot of young men sitting around the area there all day long. If that court can be rehabilitated, then we can get them onto the court, and they can have activities done and doing it instead of sitting around all day long. Okay, and we know sitting around all day long what is taking place. So if we can cut out some of that, I think that will be very important. That is my contribution for tonight, but importantly, the students we have going away, that is my main priority. So PM, please help us in that.
All right, let's have our sister there from Newtown area by the Savannah. Next, we have you right there.
Good evening to everyone. My first major concern is that I'm hearing of all the roads that are being fixed. But I live in an area where it seems as that we have been forgotten, because for years we have been asking and asking and asking for assistance for our road, for housing, for children and everything, and we have not been seeing anybody whatsoever. The road I'm speaking about is the road leading to Kings Hill, leading to Monbruce. It's at the foot of the Savannah by the cemetery. The PM knows the road very, very well. Some people call it Lower Monbruce, some people call it Kings Hill, some people say it has no name. So I hope that you all will consider us and at least try and pass and take a look and to see what you all can do for us. On the part of jobs and job applications, I would like to know really what are the criteria or how do you go about applying for a government job? Because it seems as if to me I'm doing it all wrong. Every time I apply, I always add something to my CV because I am forever continuing in doing something, whether it's volunteering or adding something else to update my CV. I recently did 2 courses at UE where I got an A+ and a B-. And I am adding these things to my CV, and for some reason, I'm not seeing myself getting through. For the past 4 to 5 years, I've been volunteering with adult education. And earlier this year, I had 14 prisoners sit CXC, and still I'm applying to the government for a job, and still I am not getting through. So I would like to know if what I am doing is wrong or if there's another way for me to go about doing it. Thank you.
All right. Next we have next young lady there.
Good evening, PM, government ministers, and the audience. My first concern is the basketball court. I heard you talk about sports, but Newtown have a basketball court by the Savannah, and we've been begging for that to come into life for so long because we have so many young men in Newtown, and some of them going to play basketball barefoot. And we've been seeing ambush Judge Time asking for that basketball court. And it's just on a standstill, on a standstill, on a standstill. So at least we have to try our best to get our young men at least to take part in sports, at least basketball. You talk about football, but it's not only football, you talk about other basketballers. So at least try to fix up that basketball court so we get our young men off the streets. My second concern is the Newtown sidewalk. I think the sidewalk needs a little bit of developing. Because they start one side and up to the other side, it's still the same thing. And the bypass in Newtown, I'm not sure if they want to bring that back to enhance the community. Because Mr. Skerrit talked about, he spoke about the yachts on the sea, right? So if we have that bypass, a lot of things can happen by the bayside. And I think that's a good thing at first, so we can always bring it back so that we can enhance our community. One more thing, Mr. Skerrit, no offense, no harm. You talk about the PAL rep. Our PAL rep is Joshua Francis, right? Jai is not our PAL rep, as you said. But anything, I want to know what is a PAL rep, because Joshua Francis won on a worker seat. But then as he's saying, like he's not getting the help he needs to help the community. But listen now. Hello, I'm still speaking.
Okay, let's wrap it up, please. Let's wrap it up.
So, like, I want to know, like, a PAL rep, even if they didn't win on a Labour Party ticket, the role of a PAL rep is to help the constituency, right? So if you're not getting the help that they need, how do they do to help the constituents? So I want to know what is the reason for that.
Okay, thank you, sister. Thank you. We have one more here. Come on. Let's just hear from the brother. That's okay. That's the last one. That's the last intervention.
Okay. Let me say good night to the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Skerrit, Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit. Hello. Okay, let's just quiet for a little bit, okay? Okay, again, greetings, Dr. Skerrit, Madam Skerrit, and also the Ministers of Cabinet. Okay, as regards to the last speaker, I myself am a young man. I write proposals and I submit for projects. Right now, we have a project going on at the Newtown Primary School, that is in Newtown Barber Academy. There's one of our members right there. Also, we also have Dashaki Regis. He was nominated for one of the awards, that the National Youth Awards. Okay, so as regards to a PAL rep getting assistance, if he put pen to paper or his fingers to a computer, he can get some things done.
Tell them, brother.
Okay, as regards to some of my concerns, I speak from different hats. One of the first things I'll make mention of is the community of Fortney, where I reside. We don't have a community center, neither a hurricane shelter, and that's one of the things that we are in need of. As regards to the land, I haven't identified any land. I don't know if there's any government land in the area, but that's one of the things that we do require. Also, there's also the need for improvements in the roads, which you all have already spoken to. But you all should also take into consideration putting guardrails, especially to the area where there was an accident recently, because it's very dangerous there. Then we also saw some work being done in the Wavin, that's close to the Newtown Junction, to the Fortney Junction. I don't know fully the scope of what that project was, but I saw that some of the material was used or utilized on the other side of the road. And if you realize that area was just stiff, like tarish, so the soil there was pretty much firm. And where more work should have been done, we saw that was ignored because a lot of the material was used in another area. So as regards to projects that are being done, we need to ensure that the scope is met. Okay, so there needs to be some form of accountability, especially from the engineers. Next, I will speak as regards to the building, the proposed site for the health center. I know that the Minister for Education and Health are there at the moment. As I just said in the beginning, currently we operate the Newtown Baba Academy, and Mr. Kopel has allowed us to have a room there. So in our whole operations, we envision there having, like, say, a 3 or 4-story building whereby we could have an auditorium, and seeing that Newtown is a cultural community, because we have the Thunderbirds band that has been representing the community for years upon years. So we see there being the potential to actually go into costume building and also into some form of, say, visual and audio art, so we can actually continue to develop the talents of the youth in the community. If you all see the painting on the wall right there, we see Sensei. Well, the Baba is not there as yet, but we see the Sensei, we see football. So these are some things that we want to continue. Even this morning with Mr. John Riviere, we started to do face mask building, and that is a cultural activity. Okay? So I know that is the site that the government has identified for the health center, but seeing that a residential area will be done in the Charlotte Valley, I don't know if lands is available to actually put the health center there, or okay then. Okay, well then the people have spoken. The voice of the people will control. Okay, the voice of the people rule. Okay, so I cut that out. And,
okay, brother.
Just the last thing. Also, we are doing RegMex 2017. That is reggae and buyo meets Kadas, Calypso, and Soca. And that will be featured in Sizzler, Kalanja out of Jamaica. So far, the government has given us some form of support. So going forward, we expect it to be an annual event for the summer. So we'd just like to get continued support from the government on that.
All right, brother. Yes, hand over to our head table to respond.
That
was the last. Yeah, that was the last one. Yeah, that was the last intervention. Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Good night to the head table and Mrs. Skerrit and all the other members of cabinet. I want to thank you all for coming in our community. Well, tonight I want to say thank you, Dr. Darroux, for the ICE program. I was one of the beneficiaries of the program. I had 2 surgeries, I have 2 more to make. And there is a lady there with a testimony. She could not see, but now she's walking on her own. So I want to thank the government of Venezuela and the government of Dominica for allowing us to get this opportunity, because I don't think Dr. Rickett could never reach that program. The amount of people that are there, especially yesterday, they came to visit. We had to go to the health center to get our last check. So that was good. At least some of us know we have still have a little difficulty, but some of us are doing better. Now, I am the chairperson of the Kings Hill Development Committee. My name is Clemency Thomas. In 2014, we had some visitors from the CDB mission. The Basic Trust Need, the Basic Need Trust Fund project. We have a document there that said for the community center of Kings Hill. We had the people here on the 21st of May 2014. We had consultation with them, and then up to now we cannot get any answer, and we were supposed to be funded under the BNTF 7. That's the document I have there. So we, as the past PAL rep, Mr. George could vote for that. We had consultation with the people, and they promised that they are going to send, but up to now we haven't got no reply or anything from them. And the purpose for the resource center, in the history of Kings Hill, we used to have preschool, bakery, shop, and everything else. And now Kings Hill has nothing excepting a youth center that is being occupied with some computers now for the well-being of the young people. And we, with the local government, sometime would advise us to take there as a hurricane shelter. But no, we cannot do that because of the computer that is in the place. And furthermore, there have been damage through the waters from the road. When heavy rain, the water run to the side of the road and come to the yard, and we are not sure if the place will be safe for people sheltering hurricane. And the purpose for that resource center, we would like to have a health unit where the nurses, instead of Kingsville people would come down that way, off and on we would have the nurses. Instead of going to the home, we would have more people in the area that they can visit us in our community. Early childhood education. Well, we already have the internet cafe, small business. We say hurricane shelter because there are people in the area that cannot even move at their home. And it's a problem for us. It's a problem for us when we hear the storm is coming. And such people, they cannot even get up on their beds. So we would like you as Prime Minister of Dominica to consider us. And there is one more important project. Give me a break, please. There is an important project that we call it the WAVIN project. We had consultation, we wrote a program to the Canadian Caribbean Disaster Risk Management. And the people came here on the 1st of November 2009 and promised us that they will come back and have a consultation with us. Because we have people here living on the side of that ravine. And their house, as you hear Mr. Yogal said, the area are bad. They are not secure for people when it's with heavy rain because all the water from Kingsville come down there to go Newtown. So when you come to Kingsville PM and your cabinet, we'll have a little walk with you and you will be able to see. Thank you very much.
All right. Let me say to my friend who made reference to the PAL rep and the PAL rep not being in government and the PAL rep say he can't help because he doesn't have money. The Dominican Labour Party did a project, as you know, in the gardens. The estimate given to us by the Ministry of Public Works for that piece of road was $369,000. And the Labour Party mobilized people from across the country. We sought and we got contributions from the various companies and organizations and individuals. And we built the road. We didn't pay one person $1 at any time to build the road. People brought food for us. People brought sandwiches for us. They bring juice, they bring coconut water, coffee, and we all worked together to build the road. As busy as I am, I find time to go into my village to clean the roads, cut the overhangs, cut the grass, unblock the drains, unblock the culverts. So you're telling me that a PAL rep, even if you're not in government, you can't come and do those things? And not only that, Lennox Clinton and the Workers' Party, including Joshua Francis, could raise over $100,000 to pay for Lennox tongue. And you telling me they can't have a radio fund to raise $1 to help somebody fix a house in Newtown? And the youth man there told us And let me tell you something, when I was the PAL rep in the early days in Vickers constituency, and when we came into office in 2000, and I saw the situation confronting Dominica, what the Workers' Party left, I recognized that the Treasury would not be able to help me, my constituency, in the manner which I would like them to do. And like this youngster, I used to sit down late at night and early morning and to write projects and to send it to foreign governments and institutions. And I would get money to do roads and houses and to train my people in my constituency. And I was in government. I was in government as a parliament, and I still wrote projects to send to foreign governments. So I told you, darling, and you must understand that these men calling themselves Workers' Party, PAL reps and candidates do not love people. And they did not come into politics, they did not come into politics to serve people. They were looking for jobs. And the moment they didn't get the job that they wanted, they have removed themselves. They have removed themselves from the representation. So it's important, my darling, for you to look at your well-being and that of your children, and to understand that people must not believe that they can fool you with fine words. You understand? Because I don't expect them to come and build, I don't expect Mr. Francis to build a stadium in Roseau South. But bonjour, you can't help a little child to do something, a little parent to do something. You can't come and clean the place and plant flowers. So let us understand, you can't go and get some cement, some cement and get some tariff free of charge. We would give him the tariff and block some holes in Kings Hill, block some holes on the road. I mean, come on. So I don't expect him to do a big project and so forth. But as small as it is, Joshua Francis, the Member of Parliament, has time for many other things except the representation of his people. We take note of the basketball court, and we will send some people soon to work with you on the estimates and to see how we can assist in upgrading that half court for the youths in Harlem, there in Newtown, okay? So we take note of that. And I will ensure that we meet very soon, maybe by the end of the week. So we'll meet to discuss the 5 and potentially the 6 youngsters who have to go overseas. Mrs. Thomas, we take note of all the concerns you raised and the recommendations and the requests that you made to us in respect to the matters relating to the community center in Kings Hill. One of the issues with regards, just to briefly, quickly, one of the issues with regards to the BNTF funding community centers, they raised concerns, and I don't agree with them. I told them I don't agree with them, but they raised concerns about too many community centers in Dominica. And I said to them, look, but you can't tell us our priorities. If you say the financing, we have to decide the priorities. How can you sit in Barbados in the CDB and tell us we don't need more community centers in Dominica? But it's people money. I can't tell them how to spend their money. You understand what I'm saying? But we will look at how we can work with the community to effect that particular request ourselves and so forth. But it is the BNTF who decided that we had too many community centers in Dominica, even to the point where there was one in my constituency in Penville that was affected by this decision I'm from. And you know me, I don't have time to waste these people. If you have your money, my brother, and you want to decide how you want to spend your money, keep your money. So I don't have no big business to talk to them fellas. So that is what they indicated and so forth. The issue of applying for jobs, I think it might be better if we arrange for you to meet with the CPO, the Chief Personal Officer, who can take you through the process. There is an entry requirement in the public service. You have a certain number of O-levels and so forth. Okay? And then sometimes it all depends on whether there is a vacancy or to match your skill sets or a vacancy at all. Well, I don't know about the pull string, because pull string sometimes that string is not strong enough. You know, so, but we can arrange for you to meet with the CPO, because contrary to what people think, the government or the cabinet, we don't get involved, really, contrary to what people think, in employment in the public service, except positions where the Constitution gives the Prime Minister the authority to object to certain positions and so forth. But if we know of any particular challenge, we do inquire and to find out what's going on and to see how the public service can respond to the concern raised by the individuals and so forth. Okay? The other points, we've noted them. The road close to the cemetery, I think eventually, I mean, this is a small road, a very narrow road, so it doesn't take much to fix. But in the scheme of things, with everybody saying their road is priority, I mean, you know, Donna said the center road is not priority, the back road is priority. So you will have these competing views. But just to say to you, darling, eventually we'll come to your area. We have this area, and it's a very important bypass from both the Kings Hill Center Road and of course the Monbush Road and so on. So I know the road very well. Okay? But thank you very much, my dear brothers and sisters, for being here. But I think you have to give the vote of thanks, is that correct? Well, come fast then.
Thank you, PM, and thank you, Chairman. Good evening, brothers and sisters. My task is a very easy one, but I think it's a very pleasurable one too, because we need to say thanks. God doesn't like ugly. First of all, I'd like to thank the Almighty Father for giving us health, life, energy to be here, and for giving us good weather, and you know, and ensuring that we get here safely and back. So we also thank him for traveling mercies to and from our homes.